shot, kidneys always bruised. The daddy's girl, it became you. In the front seat, you pulled me close, kissed my lips, it tasted like home. Flashes of crosswords and chamomile, the years passed like a Ferris wheel. Tiny fractures in the fall, the days we live so much more. Got a little place near the beach, we watch the sailboats out at sea. And we ride along the Palisades, love is just a summer day. If you hold too tight, it starts to fade. Let it go, then it floats away. In time, will you remember me? For a second, we had everything. How far away can summer searching by to summer aimless and upward.
Hi guys! What's going on? It's Thursday, my dudes. So close. So close to Friday. Hey, yous. Hey, yous over there. Exy, what are you talking about? I didn't talk shit in your chat today. That never happened. Is your old age getting to you? You misremembering things, huh? I would never. So yes, exciting news in the D&D world today. Excited. I don't have my fucking glasses. Watch your toad, whippersnapper. I'll kick you off my lawn. Yeah, man, do you want to hop into a call? exciting news. They basically announced the next edition of Dungeons and Dragons. Right now, they're calling it One D&D. However, yes, they've basically announced the next edition. Obviously, it won't be around for probably I think until 2024. But yeah, they have a bunch of shit up on D&D Beyond. Well, it's not the next edition. I'm assuming it's gonna be the next edition, considering they said it's backwards compatible to 5e. Article was calling it, well, who knows if they're gonna call it 6e. But right now, they are calling it 1E, 1NE, 1 D&D. And XE should be able to post links in chat, so. Per Wizards, though, they're not calling it 6e. So, at least not yet. It's not called 6e, it's not 5.5, it's, right now, it's called 1 D&D. But yeah, so they've actually released some stuff because they're going to start playtesting it. So if you have a D&D Beyond account, you can claim the 1 D&D and you could start playtesting essentially, although right now they've only released, the only thing they've released is character origins. That is the only thing that they've currently released for it. Let me see this. D&D 6th edition announced, but they're calling it 1 D&D for now. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna refer to it as 1 D&D. I'm not gonna say 6th edition because that is not that's not what they're calling it. They're calling it 1 D&D. And we don't know, as far as right now, a lot of the rules I'm reading for character origins, it's pretty similar. It's pretty similar to 5e, so if anything, it would be like a 5.5. Wizards try calling 5e D&D. I mean, yeah. So yeah, so they've announced, and not only have they announced either the next edition or the next iteration, whatever you want to call it, they've also announced that they're going to actually be doing a VTT for D&D Beyond, which is super exciting for, I know, like, myself and Mandy, we use D&D Beyond a lot for basically all of our, like, character creation and stuff. So that's exciting because we won't have to fucking outsource to other apps to have a virtual tabletop experience for our online games. And that's pretty significant. I know we were actually talking about it probably when Wizards announced that they had acquired D&D Beyond. I know Mandy and myself, as well as the other dinglings, we were talking about how it was probably only a matter of time until they announced a virtual tabletop. And lo and behold, they did. So here are some little tidbits about it, from the FAQ section on D&D Beyond. I was wondering how Magic was going to look when it launches. They hella simplified it from what I read. Yes, so what they've done, and we'll get into it a little bit more, they've basically broken down Magic into 3 classes, which is essentially what it was anyway. There has always been Arcane Magic, Divine Magic, and Primal Magic. Obviously, Arcane Magic, that covers your Sorcerers, your Wizards, your Artificers, Divine Magic, Clerics, Paladins, Primal Magic, Druids. So they've simplified it a little bit to say, hey, these are the primal spells, these are the divine spells, these are the arcane spells. And they haven't quite yet broken down. This only covers the content that they've released thus far for One D&D has not broken down how those will be divided amongst the classes, and even what classes they're going to be. But it looks like kind of similar to how it already is. There are arcane spells. I didn't see anything about classes of magic. I will have to go and double check. I briefly read through the PDF because I kind of wanted to discuss it a little bit more in depth on stream. But yeah, so from what I can tell, again, they're not calling it. They're saying it's not the new edition of D&D. It's bigger than that because they want to pull you in. And the rules that are going to be implemented are going to be backwards compatible with 5th edition adventures and all of the supplements and stuff, which I think is very important considering the amount of money a lot of people have thrown into not only D&D Beyond for the books, but as a whole into 5th edition books and the adventures and all of they're constantly coming out with more and more source books and supplemental material. And it would be a shame for the people who spent all of that money, myself included, to not be able to use that material for the new edition. And I think it actually makes it more accessible as well. Because there's nothing worse than just throwing money at something and all of a sudden it becomes obsolete. And then again, if you are interested in playtesting the material, it is available on D&D Beyond. You just have to go to, it should literally probably be on the top of the page when you go into D&D Beyond. Yeah, so when you go to sources, it should say One D&D playtest materials, and you can claim that. And you'll get access to the character origins PDF, which is 21 pages long. It's pretty cool. They're going to be taking feedback and stuff, and they said it is likely that the playtest will continue until the end of 2023. Although that's at least until the end of 2023. So right now we're looking at probably a 2024 release date for this rule set officially. However, it is an Unearthed Arcana, which means it's being playtested. So yeah, we're probably looking at a 2024 release date for this material officially, if not later than that, depending on how the playtests and everything go and how much they decide they want to change from the Unearthed Arcana. But yeah, so I wanted to hop in to... This is the PDF. So yes, this is written by, obviously, Jeremy Crawford, Christopher Perkins, and Ray Winiger. This is going, again, they reiterate for the Player's Handbook coming out in 2024. However, they do use the rules in the 2014 Player's Handbook. And I was thinking about it, obviously, hey, Splody! I was thinking about it. We are talking about D&D. We're talking about the new D&D announcement of the new edition, iteration, whatever. And we're about... 5e came out in 2014, so we're about almost a decade from when 5e came out, and it seems like most of the editions, they have them for about 10 or so years. There's about a 10-year difference in between the editions, so we're kind of, we're coming up on needing that new edition, so it was really only a matter of time before they announced this. I know Mandy and I were talking about it a little bit more. We were talking about the use of the phrase races. I feel like with the introduction of Tasha's, where they use lineages, I believe, I think I would like to see them replace the I think I would like to see them replace character races with character lineages. And Mandy and I were also, we were talking more in depth about this, how um, I feel like with lineages, it opens up so much more opportunity. When you have races, you're sort of, okay, here's my half elf, here's my half orc, here's my elf, here's my this, here's my that. And it doesn't really open up the door for any sort of, so now in D&D there will, shut up. It doesn't really open up the door for a lot of customization for your characters, because a lot of the times when we see half elf, when we see half orc, we assume it is an orc with a human. Those are the parents. Orc with a human. And that is how we get a half orc. However, you can have a lot of different combinations. And hold on, give me 1 second. I'm going to hop in a call with Mandy.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Doing good. Let me just lower you a little bit, because OBS likes to pick up all of my other noises and make them 10,000%.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, I was just talking about the lineages and how it would be nicer to see lineages instead of races, and being allowed to customize that a little bit more. Like I was saying to you before, I want to be able to take, if I have a character whose parents are an orc and an elf, I want to be able to take from both the orc lineage and the elf lineages and use attributes from both of those in order to create a character that is customized for me.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm completely with you on that. And I hope that they also change the functionality on D&D Beyond to reflect that.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely made it more robust.
Yeah, because you were telling me I hadn't actually explored that too much, just because thus far that has not been like the characters I've made for my campaigns, because it really hasn't been an option. So I never really explored it because it wasn't really an option. So I would like to see them expand that a little bit more.
Yeah, especially because based on what it says in the doc here, when you go to the section for races, it also wants you to calculate out the average lifespan of each parent, and then that would be what the half lineages would be, an average lifespan of each parent. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of a lot.
That,
like, a lot of manual work if you don't have the digital version of D&D.
I'm not doing that.
Not doing that. I don't have the time for that.
Who has the time? But I like that they're, so one thing I noticed was that the backgrounds, and we'll get a little bit further into this, but the backgrounds each had a feat as far as I was looking. I like that a lot. I really like that. However, I do want to see them still keep that special feature for the backgrounds.
Yes.
Where you get like, I know with like a far wanderer background, you're able to kind of schmooze your way into situations because you're exotic, quote unquote, and like different. Right. And like, I want to be able to still have that special feature while also having maybe a feat to kind of balance it out, where the special feature may be more towards RP, and then you have the feat, which is more towards maybe combat.
Yeah, I hope that they keep that. I'm curious how they're going to balance it, especially given that feats are included in backgrounds and feats have levels now as well. So I'm really curious how they're going to balance that moving forward. But again, I'm keeping in mind with all of this that their major marketing point is that this is going to be backwards compatible with 5e. That's not something they've ever done before, to my knowledge.
No.
And if Bashman's lurking out there, I'm sure he'll have some kind of correction if
I'm wrong.
Yes,
of course.
I know I can trust him for that. But I don't think that's something they've ever done before. And so if we don't like what comes out and it sucks, which I don't think it will because I like the way it looks so far, we could just say, we'll just go back to, we'll pick and choose, which parts we want and which parts we don't. So
I mean, it seems like they're going to be playtesting it for the better part of the next year and a half. So obviously, like, those little kinks and everything will hopefully be worked out. And if they're not worked out within the final version, I'm sure they'll be worked out within supplemental material provided afterwards. But it would be nice to see them just sort of fucking hit the ground running with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing people in chat. Hear me out, Luxodon and Tortle. I'm actually kind of curious about that with the custom lineages. Like, are there going to be limits? Like,
yeah, the limit does not exist.
I would imagine not, with the internet being a thing, and I doubt they're going to put parameters on it. But then you think about, like, well, what if a Kenku and a human get together? Does that work? How does that work?
I have a cloaca. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Obviously, I feel
how
like
does egg laying work?
Dee Dee can tell you all about that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, I feel like there might be like obviously, like, if something is humanoid, you sort of assume, like, I know I joke that, like, the Kenku have cloaca, but if something is humanoid, you assume that a humanoid being and another humanoid being are able to procreate.
Yes.
It might be like Pokemon breeding limits. We just need a Ditto to just, like, a Ditto in D&D to just breed with everything.
Yes. Shapeshifters. Done.
Yeah. But I think some a type of, like, like a custom lineage maker I would like to see is something where they say you can take 3 abilities or however many abilities from total from both parents, like, abilities. So you could take orc abilities and elven abilities. You could take 3 of those and form that into your character.
Yeah.
Which would be something that I could see being pretty balanced. Obviously, you're not going to take every single ability that an orc has and every single ability that an elf has, and you're like, here's my characters. They're super OP and they're awesome. And it's like, no,
you gotta pick and choose.
Gotta balance it out a little bit. Monster races? I mean,
you're already talking to the Monster Fucker fan club here, so.
I'm not against it.
Iron Bull is daddy,
true.
And Garrus is cricket boyfriend.
Obviously, space cricket boyfriend. He is. How does that work?
Number 1.
I don't know, but I read a lot of fan fiction about it, and it seems to be fine.
There's plenty of comics about it as well. Seems to be fine.
Havoc said it sounds like they are re-releasing the handbooks from 2E. What's that mean, Havoc? In terms of what this sounds like, or? Even like I'm seeing here, a character's race represents ancestry. Like, even like character ancestry, I would prefer over character races.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I've taken myself off of Twitter for the rest of the day because I think I've ranted enough.
Yeah.
Although it's been good ranting, positive ranting, not angry ranting, but
pissed.
That'll be my subject for tomorrow. I was talking about race versus ancestry versus lineage, and why it's important to get rid of racially charged language in video games and TTRPGs of this nature.
Yeah, especially because it's just so, like, it's so prevalent that people are like, oh, orcs are an evil race, and it's like, no. We're past that. We're past that now. We're past orcs being evil. We're past goblins being evil. We're past hobgoblins being evil and gnolls and all of that. We're past it. Past it.
Kenkus aren't evil, but they are certainly chaotic.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. So, and I like that they include that. They say, determining your origin. After choosing your character's class, it's time to consider the character's origin. Who are the character's ancestors? How did the character spend the years leading up to a life of adventure? To help us answer those questions, you choose 3 things for your character: a race, lineage, a background, and a language. So I like that they're kind of putting in who are your character's ancestors. I think that is opening up the door for custom lineages.
Yeah, agreed.
Even if they may not explicitly say it. And again, these are sort of just rules. These are your base rules, but they are not they're not what you really have to follow. And if like like I have like Mandy's my DM for Fridays, and I know if I was like, yo, I want to do like a kobold mixed with an elf, she'd be like, all right, we'll make it work. Yep. So ask your DM.
Ask your DM. If just be a flesh colored fucking kobold.
Yeah. And then ew, I don't like that. Ears. I don't like that. Splody said, hey, Eccentric, I have an idea. Oh no. And then they go through obviously the character origin overview where they describe like the creature type, size, speed, lifespan, all of that, which is pretty base for most editions of D&D, but specifically 5e as well. And then they go into character races.
Yes. So I have some things to say about this section in particular.
Ardling?
Yes. I realize I may be jumping to conclusions here. They don't make any notes about ASMR, or ASMR if you watch the Friday game. I'll never get over the fact that people don't understand that that's just a meme.
Yeah.
Matt knows how to say ASMR. He just chooses not to. But it's interesting because the description for Ardlings doesn't quite match the type of origin that Aasimar have, in that they're supernatural beings who are either born on the upper planes or have one or more ancestors who originated there, whereas Aasimar can be born to mortal parents, human parents, tiefling parents, etc., 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 and can come from any lineage mixture. Like I'm making a cake, right?
Yeah.
And I read this and my gut reaction was to go, are they replacing Aasimar? And then I was like, but it'll be backwards compatible. They can't really get rid of Aasimar. It's just an additional celestial. It was
odd that they included Ardling but did not include Aasimar, but they also included Tiefling. Yes. So I want to say maybe because it is another celestial being that's the reason that they did not include the Aasimar in the in the example. And I'm hoping that is the reason. Because I like Aasimars and Ardling. So we'll get into we'll show. So obviously, like humans, pretty basic. You have your creature type is humanoid. I'm not sure about being able to have two different sizes for humans. Because you can be medium and small. You can be 2 to 4 feet tall as a human. I feel like if you're going to pick a small human...
I mean, I would consider, like, real-life people who have, like, dwarfism or other disabilities that make them shorter, or diseases that cause them to age in a slightly different way. Like, I know some of those are more appearance-based in terms of, like, how youthful you look rather than your height, but perhaps that's why they made that decision, to make it a little bit more
inclusive. All right, I can get behind that then. I could get behind that. Obviously, speed 30 feet, lifespan is 80 years on average. I like the human special traits. You gain inspiration whenever you finish a long rest. I like that. Because a lot of the times people don't really pick humans. And if they do pick a human, they do human variant, because you get that extra feat as a human variant at level 1. And picking a human, you kind of really don't get anything like good if you just go with the base human race/lineage in 5e. So I like that they added that. I think that's a very, like, you want to give incentive for a player to pick a specific type of character, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So skillful, you gain proficiency in one skill of your choice. That's cool. That's awesome. Versatile, you gain the skilled feat or another first level feat of your choice. So it seems like they're kind of they picked up on the fact that people don't like the regular human and they just go with variant human, and they're like, all right, we'll give you your feat
as a treat. You get one as a treat.
You get a first level feat as a treat. Only one though.
Only one, and it has to be first level.
And then they go on to kind of give a little overview of humans as a whole within the multiverse. And then we're on to Ardling, which is what Mandy and I were just talking about.
Yes.
And said, what's considered a first level feat? So feats are now going to be leveled. So I believe what they're going to do is like for like the feats that are a little bit more juicy and a little bit more OP, they're going to make them a higher level. If I was understanding that correctly.
Yeah.
Yep. So like Sentinel and like what's another like fucking OP one?
Mage Slayer.
Yeah, so like Sentinel and Mage Slayer, I don't think you're going to be able to get them at first level. You would have to be a certain level. There might be like a prerequisite level that you have to be.
Yep, same with backgrounds, which that is actually in the next section after races / lineages, and then after that I think is where they go into detail on the feats and feat levels, so we'll definitely be jumping into that more.
Yeah. So we have Ardling. Ardlings are supernal beings who are either born on the upper planes or have one or more ancestors who originated there. Their bright souls shine with the light of immortal beings who call the upper planes home. An Ardling has a head resembling that of an animal, typically one with virtuous associations. Depending on the animal.
That part.
Yeah. That's why I was like, what? Because I was like, animal head? What? Depending on the animal, the Ardling might also have soft fur, downy feathers, or supple bare skin. The Ardling's celestial legacy determines the animal it resembles. An Ardling gains a measure of magical power from their celestial legacy, as well as the ability to manifest spectral wings. Very, very ASMR. A win for the furries. True.
Yes. Yeah.
An Ardling's moral and ethical outlook is self-determined, however, not fixed by ancestry. And then they list the 3 celestial legacies, which is very similar to that of the Tiefling legacies as well. So you have an Exalted, which the fierce passions of Arborea, the heroic heart of Isgard, and the wondrous nature of the Beastlands called Ardlings, who have the Exalted celestial legacy. Their celestial ancestors are heroic champions of the chaotic good planes. Heavenly, which as you can say is probably very virtuous, blah blah blah, lawful good. And then Idyllic, which is neutral good. And I'm hoping that with these, like, it doesn't sort of box in Ardlings into being, oh, they have to be, like, good characters.
Nah, I mean, like with any race, class, subclass, etc. Or lineage, which I prefer, they say typically X, Y, and Z is a thing. I think it's more of a guide for people who aren't, creative or socially
just like getting into it
enough.
Just not familiar with the world of D&D, not even just like Faerun or the Forgotten Realms or anything, just like the nature of D&D and like the verbiage of D&D.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have traits.
Yes.
Humanoid. Size can be medium or small. Speed 30 feet. Lifespan 200 years on average, which I think is pretty. That's on par with Aasimar.
Yep.
And then you have angelic flight as a bonus action. You can sprout your spectral wings and fly a number of feet equal to your speed. You can use your bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Very sort of. Oh, hi, Sithy. Very standard. Very much Aasimar.
Yes.
Very much Aasimar.
I just want to be a small little cat angel.
Oh my god, that would be adorable.
Right? I mean, I already draw stuff like that, so like, sign me the fuck up.
Sign me up.
I like the idea of an Ardling, and I'm sure they won't replace Aasimar with it, but that was definitely my gut reaction to reading this. I was like, is this another Celestial, or are they just gonna get rid of Aasimar?
Yeah. But, I mean, it's backwards compatible, so you're going to be able to bring in any race that has been established within the previous like supplemental material and source books. You'll be able to bring into this version, I believe.
Yes.
And said, wonder how this would have gone over during the Satanic Panic years. Angel with an animal head.
Yeah, I'm sure the Christians and the Westboro, whatever the fuck, are clutching their pearls even now.
Oh no.
Oh no.
These monsters they've brought God into it now.
Hail Satan, motherfucker.
So we have the Angelic Flight, and then we have the Celestial Legacies. So they give you some suggestions on what kind of animal head you want to have, depending on what kind of legacy you have. So we have cat, eagle, goat, and mule for Exalted. We've got elephant, owl, pig, and stork for Heavenly, and bear, dog, raven, toad for Idyllic. And then you get a first level. At first level, I got confused for a second. At first level, you get Thaumaturgy, depending, light or guidance, and then Divine Favor. Is that a spell already? Divine Favor?
I think it is.
Is it? Oh, it is.
I don't remember.
I've never heard that spell before. Oh, it's a paladin spell. That's why I never play paladins.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get Divine Favor, Cure Wounds, or Healing Word, and then Lesser Restoration, Zone of Truth, and Animal Messenger. I think those are pretty good spells to get as a lineage bonus.
I think they're great. I mean, I think having these kinds of bonuses that are lineage based is cool, and more should have it. I don't think they all do, generally speaking.
Yeah, no. So you choose your Celestial Legacy, and then at, first level, third level, fifth level, you get those spells. I would like to see them do higher spells.
Yeah.
I would like to see them do higher spells for these sort of racial / lineage bonuses, because they always end up going up to like 5th level, and it's like, hi, I'm like, if like once you get to like level like 17, it's like, give me something fucking good, dude.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where they expect like class features to take over and things of that nature. So it's a little tough to balance it, because if you're getting cool stuff at certain levels for your lineage and cool stuff at certain levels for your class all the way up through level 20 or whatever, I could see that becoming imbalanced or having too much overlap. Like, if you're a cleric and you choose Ardling as your lineage, to have these overlaps in spell types and things can be advantageous, but can also make character creation a little overcomplicated. So maybe that's why they do it.
True. And then you get resistance to radiant damage, obviously. Who plays to level 20 though? I don't know. I've only heard about it in Legends, Sithy.
Yeah, same. But I'm hoping the Dinglings will.
Yeah, right. If only. We sure hope so. And then we go.
Find out tomorrow.
And then we go to Dragonborn. Seems like Dragonborn are fairly standard as per like 5e. They talk about, where Dragonborns sort of come from. They talk about the chromatic ancestry and such, and metallic ancestry, and sort of the you depending on whatever ancestor you choose, you get a little bit, you get some special features because of that. So humanoid, they're medium, the 30 feet, 80 years average, and then draconic ancestry again. You get to choose the type of dragon from the Draconic Ancestor table, and that affects your breath weapon and damage resistance, which I think that's par for the course for 5e as well.
No shadow breath. Still disappointed.
You just homebrew it. It's fine. Just go
it exists.
It
exists. Yeah, it'll be spicy.
So we have obviously black, blue, brass, bronze, copper, gold, green, red, silver, white. Kind of disappointed they didn't include the jewel dragons and the gemstone dragons that they introduced with Fizban's
Fizban.
Yes.
I want to be a purple dragon.
I know. I want to be amethyst.
Amethyst.
You get a breath weapon. Obviously, that's pretty standard. Damage resistance, dark vision. Do Dragonborns have dark vision in 5e?
I don't think they did before, unless they changed it. They might have changed it with Monsters of the
Oh, that's true.
Multiverse. Let me look.
No, I don't think they.
I don't think they do.
No,
I
they.
think this is new.
So
Yeah, this is new.
Yep, that's new. So
Yep.
yeah, they Dragonborns now have dark vision.
Fuck yeah. Love to see it.
Shit, yeah. I'm seeing for Explorer's Guide to Wild Mount, one of the sub races had dark vision, the Draken blood, but not the standard. Good to know. And now we have dwarf. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like dwarf.
I mean, you know,
it's just like every time, like I don't care.
if I ever play a dwarf, it will be a lady dwarf who has a braided beard, who is a barbarian.
I just offended Creep in the most like severe way. Creep, I am so sorry. I do not like dwarfs.
I like dwarves in Dragon Age.
I don't like playing dwarfs.
Yeah. I wouldn't go out of my way to play a dwarf.
I would very much 100% fuck Varric in Dragon Age if given the opportunity.
Oh my god. Yes. 100%.
But I just don't like playing dwarfs.
They're cool, they're just not for me.
Yeah, not for me. Not my gig. But humanoid. Yep, go ahead.
Yes. I was gonna say, before we move on from dwarf, because I don't know how much you want to talk
about
it.
Oh no, we'll go through it. We'll go through it.
Okay, yeah, let's go through it then.
So creature type, humanoid, obviously. Medium, 30 feet speed, 350 years on average. Oh. They long life, boys.
Yeah.
Dark vision, dwarven resilience, so they have resistance to poison damage and advantage on saving throws against to avoid being poisoned. Dwarven toughness, your hit point maximum increases by 1 and increases by 1 again whenever you gain a level. That's pretty cool.
Love that. Yeah.
Forge wise, your divine creator gave you an uncanny affinity for working with stone or metal. You gain tool proficiency with 2 of the following options of your choice: jeweler's tools, mason's tools, smith's tools, or tinker's tools. That's fun. I don't know how much, like, it depending on the campaign, that whether or not that's going to be useful.
Yeah. Also, the dwarven toughness is new to dwarves, for those of you who are not familiar.
Mm-hmm.
That is not currently a thing for the lineage of dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Stone cunning is, though, isn't it?
Yes, but they have modified it.
They've modified it, yep. As a bonus action... Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so typically stone cunning is advantage on... or for intelligence history checks related to origins of stonework and architecture made of stone, you're considered proficient in history and double your proficiency bonus for that particular kind of check instead of a normal proficiency bonus. But they've made it more useful now, where instead, as it says here in the document, as a bonus action you gain tremor sense,
which is awesome,
with a range of 60 feet for 10 minutes. You must be on a stone surface or touching such a surface to use this tremor sense. The stone can be natural or worked stone. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This is huge.
That's fucking. I might play a dwarf maybe in the future. Who knows? That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's actually a very useful freaking feature.
Yes.
So Ant asked, did they get rid of the sub-races? I don't think so. I don't think they've gotten rid of the sub-races. I think this is just the very bare bones character origins. Like, they've mentioned, like with the Draconic Ancestor and stuff and the Celestial Legacies. I don't think that they'll get rid of the different sub-races of dwarves or sub-lineages of dwarves.
No, they won't be doing that. But it's already published and discussed in the Monsters of the Multiverse book, which they are not going to be negating by updating this for One D&D. I watched that hour-long video earlier about the UA release, and Jeremy Crawford said that mentioning that orcs will be graduated to the player's handbook for One D&D, but the information for orcs in 1D&D for that player's handbook will be the same as the release as Monsters of the Multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not trying to negate what they literally just published.
Yeah.
They're just moving it around a little bit, and also because so many people play full-blooded orcs now, that it just makes sense to include it in the base set of playable lineages in the player's handbook moving forward.
Yeah, that...
So they're not getting rid of that stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't mind me, I'm just choking on air.
Don't die.
And then we and then we have elves, which Creep says hi, Mandy.
Hi, Creep. I love you.
So we have elves.
I'm a little sad about this one.
Long ass fucking shit for the elves. I actually didn't read through this. This is like the one that I didn't really read through because I skipped ahead to Tiefling when I was reading through it.
Do you want me to read this one since you still sound like you're dying on air?
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
Okay. Get yourself a drink or something. For elves, created by the god Coralon, who is a piece of shit. I don't know why we're talking about Coralon. The first elves could change their physical forms as well. The elves lost this ability when Coralon exiled them from Arvindor for plotting with another elven deity named Lolth, who tried and failed to usurp Coralon's dominion. When Lolth cast down into the abyss, most elves renounced her treachery and earned Coralon's forgiveness. But that which Coralon had taken from the elves was lost forever. No longer able to shapeshift at will, the elves retreated to the Feywild, where their sorrow was deepened by that plane's influence. Over time, wanderlust and curiosity led many of them to explore other planes of existence, including various worlds in the material plane. Elves have the mystical ability to take on characteristics of the environments with which they are bonded. Drow to the Underdark, High Elves to Fey crossings in the material plane, and Wood Elves to the forest. These connections grant elves access to certain kinds of magic. Elves are blessed with long lives and long memories. From birth, they don't sleep, but instead enter trance when they need to rest. In this state, elves remain aware of their surroundings while immersing themselves in their own memories. What an elf remembers during this reverie depends largely on how long the elf has lived and the events that have shaped the elf's existence. Elves have pointed ears and tend to be light on their feet. Another common physical characteristic of elves is their lack of facial and body hair.
Oh, they're very good swimmers.
And they smooth, though. They're Michael Phelps up in this bitch. So yeah, I have, before we move on, I do have a little bit of an issue with this. They don't talk about all the sublineages of elves, which I realize doesn't mean that they're excluding it. Like, this document is pre-alpha, yet to be play tested. They don't open the surveys for getting player feedback on these play tests for at least 2 to 3 weeks. I think it opens up on the 1st of September, so 2 weeks. So I'm keeping that in mind.
Yeah,
but I
and this document
is 3.
This document is already 21 pages long.
Yeah.
Imagine if for every single, like, they included mountain dwarves, hill dwarves, like all of these, they did sea elves, astral elves. Now we have,
it'd be double in size.
You know, it'd be enormous. It'd be a lot to fucking. It's right now it's barely bite sized. To add all of those into a playtest material would be it'd be extravagant.
I'm also trying to consider the fact that the release of this next player's handbook for what I'm calling D&D 5.5, because why would they call it 6 if it's backwards compatible, is that they still want you to buy Monsters of the Multiverse. They still want you to buy Spelljammer, which literally just came out 2 days ago. Like, so those sub-lineages for things like elves obviously wouldn't be included in the new player's handbook. So I'm thinking about that as well. So I guess if we think about it, Drow, High Elves, and Wood Elves, which we'll talk about after we talk about the elf traits, are really the main categories of elf.
Yeah, those were the ones that were released in the base player's handbook for 5th edition.
Yes.
So it makes sense that those would be the ones that were included for this as well. So obviously, elves are humanoid, obviously. Medium, 30 feet is their speed, lifespan, 750 years on average. They have dark vision, that's not changed. So elven lineage, you're part of an elven lineage that grants you supernatural abilities. Wow. Choose a lineage from the, again, we're using the terminology lineage. I like this.
Yes.
Choose a lineage from the elven lineages table. Drow, the lineage of the Underdark. High elf, the lineage of Fey Crossings and other magical locations. Or Wood elf, the lineage of primeval forest. You gain the first level benefit of that lineage. Starting at 3rd level, again, this is you get a spell basically 1st level, 3rd level, 5th level. And then you can use intelligence, wisdom, or charisma as your spellcasting ability, which is pretty standard. That was basically the same for 5th edition. Fey ancestry, you have advantage on saving throws to make to avoid or end the charmed condition on yourself. That's changed. Yeah. Because there was also you also were immune to being put to sleep magically with Fey ancestry.
Yep.
So had they taken that away?
So they actually talk about that in trance if you go past Fey ancestry. So keen senses, you have proficiency in perception, which is great. That makes sense for elves. And then trance, you don't need to sleep. You don't need to sleep. Keyword, you don't need to. And magic can't put you to sleep. Hands down, plain language cannot put you to sleep.
All right, so they've moved that then, because that was under Fey ancestry previously.
Yes, so I guess they've wanted to include it together in the section where it actually talks about
sleep,
how you rest. Yes, I was just talking about this with Phantom New Jersey with Rob. Is that keyword here for the folks at home? Don't need to sleep, but elves can sleep.
Yes, you don't
Your
need
elf
to.
wants to take a nap. Take a nap.
Yeah, Vix naps all the time. She's a napper. So then in lineage they say for Drow your dark vision increases to 120 feet. I almost said 120%. Engage. And then the dancing lights cantrip. 120 feet for a Drow, that's also standard. That was in 5th edition. But the addition of, I think, dancing lights, that's a new addition, isn't it?
Looking now.
I feel like I should have all of these pulled up on the side, but I don't.
Dancing lights is a part of the default in the player's handbook for Drow magic. Same with Fairy Fire and same with Darkness, so that has not changed for Drow. So it's pretty much the same.
Okay, and then High Elf, the Prestidigitation cantrip. That's new because I'm a High Elf and I do not know that cantrip.
Yep, that's correct. In current, one cantrip of your choice from the wizard spell list. So this one specifies what you get.
Oh, this is cool. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace the cantrip with a different cantrip from the arcane spell list. That's fucking cool. Ooh. I like that. And then you get Detect Magic and Misty Step. Those are new. You normally as a high elf, you do not get those in 5th edition. So that's actually a lot of fun. I actually took a feat as Vix in order to get the Misty Step spell.
Yeah, it was what, Fey ancestry?
Yeah, yep. Yeah. Or whatever it is, Fey teleportation or something like that.
Yeah. One of the Fey ones I know.
Anne said, maybe you're such a high elf you forgot. Maybe.
Blaze at 420.
Wood elf, your speed increases to 35 feet, which I think is this is all the same, I believe, as in
double checking Wood elf. Nope, same. It's the same.
Yeah, so they haven't made any changes to that. I would like to see them make maybe a change or two.
Although Druidcraft was not included, so these spells, these additional spells were not included in current, so
okay, there
have been some changes.
Okay, so then they go through and they kind of describe each individual lineage. Drow are obviously, they have like those dusky gray skin tones with the light hair.
BDSM elves.
Yeah, yep, BDSM elves, yep. High elves are they're so far up their own asses. Yep. I say that as Vix era. Yep. And then wood elves. Stoners.
Fae. Fan of Fear.
Mm-hmm. And then we have gnomes. Which I've never played a gnome before.
Me either.
Okay, so gnomes are magical folk created by gods of hard work, invention, trickery, and life underground. The earliest gnomes were seldom seen by other folks due to the gnomes' secretive nature and their propensity for layering in sylvan forests, hillside burrows, and sprawling warrens under mountains. What they lacked in size, they made up for in cleverness and cunning. They confounded predators with elaborate traps and low, narrow, labyrinthian tunnels. They also learned useful magic from gods like Garl Glittergold, Baravin Wildwander, and Baravar Cloakshadow, who often lived amongst them, usually in disguise. Gnomes are petite folk with big eyes, pointed ears, and wistful imaginations, harkening back to a time when their ancestors hid in tunnels and under thick forest canopies. Many gnomes like the feeling of a roof over their head, even if that roof is nothing more than a hat. That's cute.
Love that. It's very cute.
That's cute. I've never played a gnome before, but after reading that description, I might.
They're cute.
They're cute. So obviously they're small. They're little guys.
Little guys.
They live 425 years on average. I don't think any of that has changed. Gnomes have dark vision. That's the same. Oh god. Let me pull up gnomes in 5e.
I got it. They can live 350 to 500 years. So here they changed that 425. So they talk about average lifespan rather than maximum. So that you get a little more wiggle room because, you know, some humans live longer than 80 years. Some don't. So average lifespan, boom.
Gnomish cunning, that did not change. That has not changed.
Yep, it's the same.
Gnomish legacy. You are part of a gnomish lineage that grants you supernatural abilities. Choose a lineage from the gnomish lineages. So here they mention forest and rock, which
they don't talk about deep gnomes.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a third one they're missing right there.
Yep.
But I'm not sure if that was the deep gnomes were included in the original player's handbook.
They were not, to my knowledge.
So that's probably why they're not included.
Yep.
So as a forest gnome, you know the minor illusion cantrip. You can cast speak with animals. And obviously
small beasts. Is it animals or small beasts in this?
It says speak with animals on here.
Ooh, so that's an upgrade.
What was it before? Just small beasts?
Yeah, speak with small beasts. Through sounds and gestures, you can communicate simple ideas with small or smaller beasts. Forest gnomes love animals and often keep squirrels, badgers, rabbits, moles, woodpeckers, and other creatures as beloved pets. I love that so much.
So I wonder, though, because this is, you can cast speak with animals. So you can cast a spell, but it's equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all uses. So would you rather be able to cast the spell speak with animals, or would you rather be able to just speak with small beasts using sounds and gestures? And
speak with small beasts doesn't have a limit listed. I think I would prefer that.
That's what I was thinking. The limit does not exist. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought that would be so yeah, undecided as to whether or not that's better.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more balanced.
I would let players pick and choose which one they want. If they want the old speak with small beasts, or if they want the new slot for speak with animals.
Yeah. So rock gnomes.
Minor illusion should stay. It stays regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. So rock gnomes know mending and the prestidigitation cantrips. I think that is new.
I think you are correct. Yeah, I don't see any innate spell casting for this sublineage, so I'm gonna say yeah, that's new. That's nice.
This is quite the section for rock gnome. Jesus.
Yeah, they have a lot of lore behind them. They're tinkerers. They're the original artificers, so it makes sense. So
it says, in addition, you can spend 10 minutes casting prestidigitation to create a tiny clockwork device, such as a toy, a fire starter, or a music box. This is the same, sort of the same as the original and the player's handbook.
Yes, it looks the same. So if you don't want to read the whole thing, we don't have to.
Yeah, no, that's basically the same. I don't see anything indicating that it would be different.
Yep.
So that's nice. It's, you know, they kind of kept it a little bit the same. I do like the addition of minor illusion for forest gnomes, because I think like they are very much about like sort of like they're mischievous, they're a little tricky. They gotta fucking juke their predators.
It's perfect for them. I'm glad that they added that, because it definitely wasn't a default.
Yeah.
I think it was not.
That's a lot of details for one fucking device they can create in this bite-sized alpha doc. It is. It's a lot of it's
Oh yeah,
this whole thing. It's a lot.
it's a lot. There's a whole lot. They basically just took the text that already exists in the player handbook and kept it, probably so people wouldn't have a fucking heart attack over
Yeah,
it.
I mean, they obviously like they're not gonna change every single little thing.
Yeah, definitely not.
But
Of course they're
so
gonna
far,
recycle, they
so
should.
far, I'm liking the changes so far that they've made.
Yeah.
If you wanna read Halfling, go ahead. I need to take
Okay,
a drinky drink.
give you a little break. Halflings, cherished and guided by gods who value life, home, and hearth. Halflings gravitate towards bucolic havens where family and community help shape their lives. That said, many halflings are blessed, some might say cursed, with a brave and adventurous spirit that leads them on journeys of discovery, affording them the chance to explore a bigger world and make new friends along the way. Their size, not being unlike that of a human child, helps them avoid unwanted entanglements and slip into and out of tight spaces. Anyone who has spent time around halflings, and particularly halfling adventurers, has likely witnessed the storied luck of the halflings in action. When a halfling is in mortal danger, it seems as though an unseen force intervenes on the halfling's behalf. Many halflings believe in the power of luck, and they attribute their usual gift to one or more of their benevolent gods, including Yondala, Brandabaris, and Charlemagne, which
Charlemagne.
is hilarious to me. Charlemagne.
Mornian actually pointed out that they upped the base movements for at least gnome and halfling to 30 feet because those were 25 previously.
Oh, well, there you go. So,
Yep.
halfling traits: creature type, humanoid, size small, 2 to 3 feet tall, speed 30 feet, as Mornia noted, lifespan 150 years on average, and then as a halfling, you have the special traits. And I'm gonna look at it on the other screen as well. Brave. You have advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end the frightened condition on yourself. I believe
That's the
is
same.
part of the default. Yep.
Mhm.
Halfling nimbleness. You can move through the space of any creature that is a size larger than yours, but you can't stop there, which I
That
believe
is a very
insane.
important note.
Oh, you know what? But the you can't stop there, that was not in
That
the
was
fifth
not,
edition
but that is a
player's
very
handbook.
important note because so many people will try to occupy the space of another creature, and you're not allowed to do that.
Nope, not unless you're small. Actually, you can't. I don't even think you can do that as a gnome. I would have
No,
to double check.
I think it like specifically says like unless you're tiny. If you are tiny, you can occupy the space of another creature. I believe.
Yeah. So, like, if it's like shrink,
Mhm.
enlarge, reduce, that would be an exception. Okay, the luck feat looks exactly the same. When you roll a 1 on a d20 of a d20 test, which I don't like how they changed the verbiage there. We'll talk about that
Mhm.
later. You can re-roll the die, and you must use the new roll. So it's not the same as giving you advantage because you can't pick and choose. You know, like what if you roll 2 1s? Do you roll again? Because it says you must use the new roll. Does that count if that new roll is a 1? That would be something that I would want to discuss with my dungeon master.
I would
when
say
playing One D&D.
I'm sure this is something you would probably rule it as if you like you're not going to keep re-rolling until you get not a 1. Like I feel like if you roll a 1 and then you roll a 1 again after using luck, I think you got to take that number.
I'd probably do like a 3-strike rule. Like if you roll 3 1s in a row, you're just fucking stuck. Sorry.
Mhm.
You were meant to fail this.
You were
if you
meant
get 3 in a row.
The dice
You were
say what
meant
they
to
say.
fail this. Yeah, I said what I said on that. So
Creep said I would never stand under someone's legs to make an attack.
Uh-huh. I love that Jay lets Creep get away with that every time. So good.
Ant had a question. Any idea if this approach is an option compared to the standard 5e player's handbook, or if this will be more like an errata? Obviously, a DM can do anything, but I was wondering how Adventurers League. This, I assume, so this is going to be backwards compatible. So you'll be able to run 5e. Oh my god, my brain just.
You can run 5e adventures,
Yes.
use source materials from 5th edition. It's completely backwards compatible. because they don't want to invalidate, especially in this fucking economy, they don't want to invalidate the amount of money that people are investing in D&D now more than ever, because they don't want that, they don't want the momentum that they have now to stop or slow down. So it would be a huge business mistake for them to not make it backwards compatible. So I would say, like, Adventurers League is a whole other beast, and I don't even know how they would want to handle that.
I imagine that once the actual official edition comes out, once whatever they're going to call it, 5.5, 6E, if they're going to stick with 1D&D, when that actually comes out, that's when probably like Adventurers League will probably make that move to adopting these rules. However, that's not going to be until 2024 at the earliest.
Also, Adventurers League, to my knowledge, doesn't change live with edition changes or alterations. In fact, like, there are things that are done in Adventurers League that don't get done in a typical D&D game, so it will probably take months for that to take effect, if at all.
Yeah.
We'll never get a new edition. I think that's true. I think we'll just make iterations. I say we. The community at large will just make iterations on top of 5e. I can't see them getting too much better than this, other than to keep tweaking the great game that they've already got. It's not broken in too many ways, so we can just make small repairs as we go.
Yeah, I think 5e is very one, it's very accessible, and two, it's very streamlined. So any changes that they make are likely, it's going to be a lot of like aesthetic almost. Like, it's not going to be anything that changes the core rule set.
Yeah.
So let's see. We also have Naturally Stealthy, which
also, I just realized your tag is just chatting instead of D&D.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I can change that.
I don't know if you wanted it to be D&D or not.
We can if we want to. I was chit chatting.
Whatever you want.
I was chit chatting around. I don't know. I'll change it.
It's your stream, girl. Do whatever you want. I just happened to look down and I was like, oh.
I also forget that like Dungeons and Dragons is like an actual thing. Like on like Twitch, like the tag.
Oh, like a category on Twitch, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not playing D&D, but we're talking about D&D, so I'm gonna change it anyway.
Take a look at the D&D category once, people in chat, and you will see.
Yeah, people do world building and all sorts of things, so I don't feel bad about changing my tag.
This is a talk about D&D, so.
So yeah, we have Naturally Stealthy for Halfling, which is. I don't think that's something they had.
It's new.
Lightfoot halflings had it. Yeah, not the base though.
To apply to all.
That's nice.
Which is great. Yes. Because how can you not be stealthy when you're that small?
Yeah, small.
You can fit under tables and beds and so small. Fits right in the pocket.
Small. Small.
And they don't seem to include the sub-lineages of Lightfoot and Stout halfling, so perhaps they just haven't, maybe they're not changing it, or maybe they're still working on it and didn't want to include it in this little mini compendium.
Yeah, that's like, it is surprising that they didn't include that, but also I think with adding Naturally Stealthy to just the base build for halfling, I mean, I don't really think that there really is anything they could add. Let me see what Stout has.
Stout Resilience. You have advantage on saving throws against poison, and you have resistance against poison damage.
I wonder.
They might rework Lightfoot so that they can keep it, and maybe keep Stout the same, because that's pretty freaking good on its own. Because your con score increases by 1 as a Stout halfling, and for Lightfoot your charisma score increases, which is probably good. You could talk your way out of sticky situations because you're small.
Sticky situations.
Sticky.
So sticky. Ugh.
Well,
Need some gooby gone.
I myself out saying that.
Imagine a halfling with a dex of 3. I feel so bad. It's Oscar Stumblebottom.
Oh my god, I love that. I love that name, first of all. And secondly, if I had a player come to me and say, I really want to be a halfling, but I don't want this one trait that halflings have, I'd be like,
Fair
alright,
enough. Fair enough.
yeah, just don't use it. We just won't talk about it. It doesn't exist now.
It's
Boom.
gone. Boom.
It's gone. Easy.
So now we have orcs, which is obviously it's an addition, because like you said before, orcs weren't originally
Yes.
included as a playable race in the 2014 Player's Handbook.
Correct. And it is the same exact entry as what is in Monsters of the Multiverse, based on what Jeremy Crawford said.
So it's the exact same then.
Correct.
Well, I wonder then if they're gonna add, when they add all of the other ones that they've added to Monsters of the Multiverse, I wonder if they're gonna kind of keep them relatively the same then.
So in the player's handbook, based on the video that got released with this PDF, and it's an hour long, guys, so no need necessarily to dive into that. It's a time investment. I played it at 1.5 speed so I could get it fucking over with.
Just gotta go fast.
I really did. But Jeremy Crawford specifically said that orcs, full-blooded orcs, were graduating to the player's handbook moving forward. Half orcs will still be there. Everything else will likely be the same. It's just that because orcs are a much more commonly used lineage now, with the advent of Critical Role making it much more popular to be an orc, that they just felt it was time for full-blooded orcs to be a default player's handbook lineage. And so, but he then said in the same breath, after saying that, just so you guys know, it's literally the same as what we just released. We're not changing it.
Yeah, it is literally the same. I have Monsters of the Multiverse pulled up, and it is the same.
Yep.
Exactly the same.
Yep.
So you get Adrenaline Rush. You can take the dash action as a bonus action. You can do so a number of times. When you do so, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. That's pretty fucking cool. You have Dark Vision.
Creation. They put it. Ah! It's not Tiefling, you guys.
So fucking.
It's Tiefling.
It's Tiefling.
It says it in the book.
Fuck off. I can't. Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a second.
Sorry.
So you have Dark Vision. Obviously a powerful build. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity, and that's when determining your carrying capacity. You're not actually one size larger, because you are medium. Oh my god, go away, thing. Then Relentless Endurance. When you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead, which is very, very fucking cool.
How cool is it?
It's super cool, guys. Super cool. All right, now we're going to go to we're going to go to what we're most excited about, and that is the Tiefling, and it's pronounced Tiefling. They even fucking said it right here. It's Tiefling. Not Tiefling. Tiefling.
Not Tiefling.
I can't remember.
Are we going to talk in the accent for the rest of this?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so Tieflings are either born in the lower planes or have one or more fiendish ancestors who originated there. A Tiefling, pronounced Tiefling, is linked by blood to a devil, a demon, a Yugoloth, or some other fiend. This connection to the lower planes is, for better or worse, the Tiefling's fiendish legacy, which comes with a promise of power yet has no effect on Tiefling's moral outlook. A Tiefling chooses whether to embrace or lament their fiendish legacy. The 3 legacies are as follows. So we have Abyssal, the heartless entropy of the abyss, the howling chaos of pandemonium, and the vast despair of Carcery. Carcery calls to Tieflings, who have the abyssal fiendish legacy. Horns, fur, tusks, black blood, and peculiar odors are common physical features of such Tieflings, most of whom have the blood of demons coursing through their veins. And you can do the next one.
Ew. Chthonic Tieflings. Tieflings who have Chthonic fiendish legacy not only feel the tug of Carcery, whatever the fuck that is, but also the greed of Gehenna and underworld gloom of Hades. Ooh. Some of these tieflings look cadaverous, spooky. Others possess the unearthly beauty of incubus or succubus, or they have physical features in common with night hags, Yugoloths, and other neutral, evil, fiendish ancestors.
And then we have Infernal, which is basically your standard tiefling, I would say.
Yep.
So
yeah, I would say it's the same.
the Infernal
Uh,
Fiendish Legacy binds tieflings by blood not only to Gehenna, but also the raging battlefields of Arkaran and the diabolical Nine Hells. Horns, spines, tails, golden eyes, and the faint odor of sulfur or smoke are common physical features of such tieflings, most of whom trace their ancestry to devils. So that's
Asmodeus is probably your daddy. I'm just saying.
Asmodeus. What? Wait, what?
Asmodeus. You know, because infernal tieflings. Legend is they all descended from Asmodeus.
Uh-oh.
It's not true. It's not true. It's not true.
Hey, hi, Matt. Mandy is also here.
Oh, hey.
Mandy sounds like Dexter. Listen, so I don't think I don't know if I've ever told you this, Mandy, but I did mention it very briefly when I was playing Bear and Breakfast the other day.
Yeah.
My inspiration for like Grief's voice was actually Dexter's Laboratory. Because when my nephew was in my sister-in-law's womb, I used to like talk like that. I'd be like, "Hey, little guy, how are you doing?"
I love that.
So yeah, that's actually like she sounds a little Eastern European, but it's actually inspired by Dexter's Laboratory.
Just has evolved over time.
Would you say you make a myriad of tieflings? Yes.
Oh.
I actually do make. I have a lot of tiefling characters.
All tieflings have the same accent as well.
Yes, they all talk like this.
Although sometimes I can't help it, I just slip into the Russian voice.
They're in.
They're too adjacent to each other. It fucks me up all the time.
So we have
Tiefling
humanoid, obviously, medium, or they can be small. Unfortunately, Grief is not that small. She's about 5'2", so she's just she's a little too tall to be considered small.
Just slightly.
And then they live 100 years on average. I think that's. Oh. I'm like, let me.
Where is it? Mature. They mature at the same rate as humans, but live a few years longer. So there isn't even a number on it.
Oh, well then.
So, but this is about right.
Yeah, if you're gonna say 100 years on average, and humans were 80 years. So you get.
I thought tieflings lived longer. But
me too.
What do I know?
So you have Dark Vision, obviously. Fiendish Legacy. You are the recipient of a Fiendish Legacy that grants you supernatural abilities. So you can be either Abyssal, Chthonic, or Infernal. And then you gain a spell at first levels, third level, and fifth level.
This is all new.
Yes. Although they are very similar to... So if you... I forgot the book that it was included in, but there was a shit ton of tiefling legacies, and each of them sort of had different... you would get like a +1 for wisdom instead of charisma, or +1 to intelligence instead of charisma, how tieflings normally get the bonus to charisma.
Yes.
And then it was also how... whether like you're a feral tiefling or something like that, you could choose, and instead of doing like Hellish Rebuke, you could do like Burning Hands or something like that.
Yes. I think it's Xanathar's Guide. Nope.
Yeah,
I'll find it.
I've completely forgot. But anyway,
find it.
So you also get otherworldly presence. You know the Thaumaturgy cantrip. When you cast it with this trait, the spell uses the same casting ability you use in your Fiendish Legacy. So that's actually different because depending on the Infernal Legacy that you choose in 5e, depends on whether or not you get the Thaumaturgy cantrip. Because I know if you choose like a different one, you wouldn't get it. You would get something else. So they're including that in just like the base build for tieflings, which is cool because I love the Thaumaturgy cantrip very much so.
Don't we all?
I wish I knew where I put it.
Variant feral tiefling, but what book did they release it in? Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. For the feral tieflings.
And then there's
and
other
variant
ones.
Ferals.
There are other ones as well. Because you get into the bloodlines. Mordenkainen's Tomb of Foes.
Oh.
That's where you get into all of the different bloodlines.
Buttlines?
Bloodlines. Buttlines.
Buttlines.
The butt cracks.
Alright, find it.
Yeah, so Bloodline of Asmodeus in the player's handbook, which is the base tiefling, your intelligence increases by 1, and then you get the thaumaturgy cantrip, hellish rebuke, and darkness spell. And then there's other ones like Beelzebul, which is your intelligence increases, and then you get thaumaturgy, you get ray of sickness and crown of madness. The bloodline of Dispater, your dexterity increases, you get thaumaturgy, disguise self, and then detect thoughts. Fierna, you get your wisdom increases, you know the friends cantrip, you can charm person, and you can cast suggestion. And then Glacia, dexterity increase, minor illusion, disguise self, invisibility, and then there's like a shit ton of other ones as well.
Yeah, they're all based on like higher infernal creatures.
But yeah, so the Asmodeus is basically that the bloodline of Asmodeus is what's considered the base tiefling build. So I think that's sort of what they're that's what the infernal fiendish legacy.
They're keeping it player's handbook length.
Yeah, but it's interesting because they have the infernal legacy, which would be Asmodeus. So you get resistance to fire damage. You also, which was base tiefling. You also know the firebolt cantrip, and then you could do hellish rebuke and darkness. But with abyssal, you get resistance to poison damage, and you know the poison spray cantrip, and then you get ray of sickness and hold person. And then if you do chthonic, you have resistance to necrotic damage, which is really fucking cool.
I love that.
And then you also know chill touch, false life, and ray of enfeeblement, which I think those are very solid choices to have.
Yeah.
As a person who loves playing tieflings.
Yeah, I really like that they're adding chthonic type themes. I think they need more of that because a lot of people forget that the Greek/Roman pantheon of deities and lore and things like that are included in the Forgotten Realms. So I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, and I like that they said that like they could look cadaverous. Like that's fucking that's
spooky.
Spooky. Okay, spooky. So those are all of the races / lineages that we have included, that they've included. Obviously, like these are the base. They're obviously not just going to have these ones included, like when they actually like do the full release. And I think that's important to note because I know so many people will probably look at this and be like, "Wow, hello, where are the Aswars? Where are the Aarakocra?"
Right.
But I think that's like I'm very interested with the Ardlings. And I do like the changes that they've made to like Tiefling and such. Yeah, where are the ASMRs?
I knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. I knew it. But yeah, so I think that this is a very good sort of just like base. Here are some basic lineages for y'all to choose from. They cover a wide array of whatever it's kind of like what do you want? We got it.
For all my baby girls.
Yeah.
I see your comments, ladies, and they make me smile.
Thanks for looking, Sithy.
What I'm really excited for the character background stuff.
So we could talk about that.
Hell yeah, let's talk about it.
We have our character backgrounds. So your character's background is a collection of characteristics that represent the place and occupation that were most formative for the character before they embarked on a life of adventure. When you choose a background, you have 3 options. Build a background by using the rules in the Build Your Background section. Select a pre-made background from the Sample Background section. Select a pre-made background from the Sample Background section, and then customize it with the rules in Build Your Background section. I like that a lot. I like that you're not just getting closed into a box of, okay, I really wanted my character to be like a sailor, so I guess I have to choose the sailor background, even though I really don't like the options and like the benefits for that. But that's kind of like what I want to do with my character. So I like that a lot. And then, no matter which background you choose, consider these questions from your character's viewpoint. How does your background influence your current worldview? Do you embrace or reject your background? Did you form any relationships during your background that endure today? Then they give you build your background.
Yep.
Which
Give you all the good stuff.
Yeah, you're able to build your fucking background from the ground up, which is nice.
Yep.
So
You've always been able to do this, but now they're giving you actual instructions on the game-supported way to do it.
Yeah, so to make it balanced.
Yeah.
Because like, of course, they're like, if you have like a cool DM, like obviously, like you're pretty much able to do like whatever, you know, like barring the rules and everything like that. But actually having like a rule set to be like, here is how you build a good balanced background that will help you both in RP as well as in combat. It's like, thank you.
Yes, finally. Because too often, like you were saying about the sailor background, I was muted and didn't realize it was muted. Is that so many people end up choosing backgrounds purely for the benefits alone, even though they don't feel that their character's history matches up with the background that they chose, but they meta chose a background because, you know, what else good is a background for, yada yada.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super guilty of doing that, where
me too.
You know, it's like I have this idea for a character I want, but the background options available, like the benefits are just like, they're not anything that would be useful. I know within the campaign, knowing what I know about the campaign, and, you know, because, like, you know, like when a campaign's going to be RP heavy or when a campaign's going to be like a fucking dungeon crawl, like normally that's discussed prior. So when you have a background and you're like, oh, this fits my character perfectly, like, oh, they're going to be a sailor, they're going to be a pirate, whatever it is, but you're like, well, the benefits don't, like, they're not going to be useful to me in this type of campaign that I'm going to be in. It kind of like that prevents you from actually wanting to choose that background, even though it might be applicable.
Yep, absolutely.
So when you build a background, your character gains the features in the background features sections below. As you make choices for the features, think about your character's past. Where did they spend most of their time? What did they do for a living? What capabilities and possessions did they acquire? What language did they learn from their family, associates, or studies? How did their past affect their abilities? If you instead decide to customize a pre-made background, you could choose any features in the background and replace them with the features below of the same name. For example, if you want to change a background's language feature, you can replace that feature with the language feature below, which is awesome.
It is pretty great. Like, they lay it out very simply, 5-10 minutes and you've created your own background easy.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the times backgrounds don't really give you pluses to your ability scores.
So I believe currently they do. It's just I actually think it's the same as the increased by 2, increased by 1, unless they've added the 2. I'm looking now. Backgrounds.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think any. I don't really. I cannot remember any background that ever gave you the option to increase your ability scores.
So it says here.
I know you get the skill proficiencies with them, but
yeah, you get the 2 skills. So instead of skills, they're doing ASIs. Basically, well, and not instead of, in addition to, I should say,
because what they're doing is
and ABIs.
They're taking away the ASIs from the lineages.
Yep.
That you would get, and then they're putting that into the backgrounds.
Yep.
Which I don't really mind, to be honest.
Yeah, because I mean, tieflings are typically adept at charisma.
Yeah, so you get like the plus to charisma or dexterity.
But if you're playing a tiefling fighter or a barbarian, like, how much charisma do you need necessarily? Obviously you can make smooth talking fighter, smooth talking barbarian, whatever you want, but is it something that is typically needed based on the class type that you choose in relation to your lineage? Not really. So
Yeah. And thank
it's
you
more
for
flexibility.
the follow, Woo Man.
Woo!
Woo. So yeah, so you get ability scores, which is something that's never been done before in a background. You get skill proficiencies, which that's kind of basic. Tool proficiency, again basic, and then language, which we've already, they've already included those in previously in the 5e backgrounds.
Then they go into samples. Do you want to go through each of these? None of them are new, but they're all structured differently now.
Yeah. Let's go into let's delve into them.
Okay.
So we'll do acolyte first.
Okay.
So +2 to wisdom, +1 to intelligence. Makes fucking sense for an acolyte to have a +2 to wisdom and a +1 to intelligence.
Yep.
As well as being proficient in insight or religion. Makes sense. Calligrapher's supplies obviously makes sense. Language celestial may or may not make sense depending on what type of acolyte you are, but again, you can replace that at, if you wanted to.
Yep.
And then you get the magic initiate feat, which I'm assuming works in the same way that a magic initiate feat works in 5e, which is you essentially get a cantrip, and then you get a number of cantrips, and then some like a first level and a second level spell or something like that.
Yep.
And then again, the types of magic have been broken down into three classes, which is arcane, divine, and primal. So you would get you would be able to get divine spells. So you'd be able to pick from the divine list of spells. Which is cool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that they've categorized magic lists based on the type of magic that it represents, rather than class-based. I'm sure there will still be things that are class-based, or maybe they're doing away with that now, in favor of having, clerics and paladins having access to the same spells. Warlocks, sorcerers, wizards, and bards having access to the same spells, which they kind of already do, and then like druids and rangers having access to the same spells using the primal magics.
Yeah, I think I like it being broken down that way, because I think a lot of the times people don't realize that there is a distinction, even in 5e and basically in the Forgotten Realms. There are different types of magic, and I don't think that people realize there is a distinction between those. So there's arcane magic, which covers, your wizards and your sorcerers. Divine magic, as you said, clerics, paladins, and then like primal, which would be druids and rangers. So when you have you may have situations where certain types of magic may not work. Where you say, oh, well, this wizard is not able to cast spells, but I get my power from a divine source. I get my power from my god. Why would my god not be able to give me my power just because arcane magic doesn't work?
Yeah.
So I do like that distinction, and I think it will. I think it's beneficial for not only combat but also RP as well.
Yeah, and useful to DMs as well, especially if they want, if you're in a particular plane or a particular region in which a certain type of magic doesn't work the same way, stronger, weaker, doesn't exist, not reliable, things like that, because that is a thing in certain places of existence in D&D, or at least historically, that's how a lot of DMs have ruled it, rather than it being an official rule thing. So I think having it categorized in this way makes it easier for from a DM's perspective to go, okay, this list of spells, this stuff is extra powerful here, or something like that.
Yeah, and it's good, like you're saying, like where certain types of magic may be weaker, or certain types of magic are outlawed. It's good to have that distinction set in place to know that, oh well, divine magic, gods are outlawed, blah blah blah. So divine magic is frowned upon and illegal, and no, you can't cast divine magic, but wizards and such may hold a high stature in that society because they're arcane. So yeah, love that. Equipment, kind of basic. Calligrapher supplies, robes, parchment, book, holy symbol, 3 gold pieces, basic, it's not really anything that we haven't seen within the 5e.
Right. The major thing to note about these is that and you probably already read this part, but to emphasize again, since we got a little off topic before, your character gets 50 gold to spend on starting equipment, and the character keeps any unspent GP as spare coin. So essentially what it's doing is equalizing backgrounds to have the same value amount of equipment for each of them, which was not the case before.
Yeah.
And it's different for criminals and nobles, obviously, because hello, nobles have hella money. Like 50 gold is like not that much to them. So
yeah, I like that.
Way.
And I think 50 gold is I think that's a pretty generous amount to obviously depending, if you're starting at 5th level, maybe 50 gold is not that much, considering you might want to have like a magic item or 2. But starting at 1st level, for a 1st level character to have 50 gold pieces worth of equipment, that's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And then you want to do artisan?
Yeah, absolutely. So you get +2 to intelligence, +1 to charisma. Your skill proficiencies are investigation and persuasion, which, hey, that makes sense.
Yep.
Attention to detail as an artisan. Investigation. Tool proficiencies are artisan's tools, and you get to choose what type. So there's painter's tools and things like that. You could probably, schmooze your way into having like woodworking or map drawing as part of it, the artistry of map drawing. Language is gnomish, which makes complete sense because many artisans are gnomes. Your feat is crafter, which, where is that in here? Crafter. I don't see it here.
You are
default.
adept at crafting things and bargaining with. Yeah, I don't think that's not a default in 5e. Yeah. You are adept at crafting things and bargaining with merchants, granting you the following benefits. You get a tool proficiency with 3 different artisans' tools of your choice. Discount. Whenever you buy a non-magical item, you receive a 20% discount on it. Faster crafting. When you craft an item using a tool with which you have tool proficiency, the required crafting time is reduced by 20%. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
I like the discount.
Is that the same as Clan Crafter, or am I just not finding this thing I need? Oh well, I'll find it later. So it says here in an example for artisans, you began mopping floors and scrubbing counters in an artisan's workshop for a few coppers per day, as soon as you were strong enough to carry a bucket. When you were finally old enough to apprentice, you learned how to create basic crafts of your own, as well as how to sweet-talk the occasional demanding customer. As part of your studies, you picked up Gnomish, the tongue from which so many of the artisan's terms of art are derived. Equipment that you get: abacus, artisan's tools, same as above. Merchant scale, which is great. Pouch, you get 2 pouches. Traveler's clothes, and 25 gold.
Yeah, dude, that's like the crafter feat is like that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I could see Joel choosing this.
Oh,
'cause
100%.
He likes making little like items and stuff.
Yep.
So then we have Charlatan, which is +2 to charisma, +1 to dexterity, deception, sleight of hand, forgery kit. Language infernal. That's an interesting choice. I would think maybe thieves can't, if anything. If you weren't already a rogue.
Yeah.
Soon after you were old enough to order an ale, you already had a favorite stool in every tavern within 10 miles of where you were born. As you traveled the circuit from public house to watering hole, you learned to prey on the unfortunates who were in the market for a comforting lie or 2. Perhaps a sham potion or a forged treasure map. You are fluent in infernal, an ancient language of deception. Alright, that makes sense. You get costume, fine clothes, forgery kit, and 15 gold pieces.
Yeah. Ooh, can I do criminal?
You can do criminal. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, but I will be listening.
Okay, I'm a little criminal now. Okay, so your ability scores are +2 to dexterity, +1 to intelligence, which I love. Skill proficiencies, sleight of hand, and stealth, very appropriate. Tool proficiency, thieves' tools. Language. This is a big one, you guys. Language. And I know you can't see it on Myriad's screen, but that's okay. The language you get is Thieves' Cant. Previously, this was only available to those who chose the Rogue class. I think it's very important for criminals to also know Thieves' Cant because it is the language of people who break the fucking law, so it makes perfect sense. And the feat you get, drumroll please, Alert. Think about the possibilities of that with a criminal background. So you get the alert feat by default. And for those of you who are not familiar, that is, you cannot be surprised. You get a +5 bonus to initiative. This may be updated for Monsters of Multiverse. You get a +5 bonus to initiative. You can't be surprised while you're conscious. And other creatures don't gain advantage on attack rolls against you as a result of being unseen by you. That's what it says in 5th edition currently. I think it is described a little bit differently at the bottom of the document here.
Yes, so with this, you can initiative swap.
Yes.
Which is probably the biggest thing. So immediately after you roll initiative, please let me know if, like you said this already, you can swap your initiative with the initiative of one willing ally in the same combat. You can't make this swap if you or the other ally is incapacitated. That's like fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's a first level feat.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, all of the feats for backgrounds are first level feats, but it's important to emphasize that.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So it says you learned to earn your coin in dark alleyways, cutting purses, or burgling shops. Perhaps you were part of a small gang of like-minded wrongdoers who looked out for each other, or maybe you were a lone wolf fending for yourself against the local thieves guild and older, more fearsome lawbreakers. Your equipment is crowbar, 2 daggers, 2 pouches, thieves' tools, traveler's clothes, and 16 gold pieces.
Pretty good.
Hell yeah. Ooh,
Pretty
cultist.
Good. Cultist. +2 to intelligence, +1 to charisma. Very, very culty. Very culty.
Very culty.
You
Super
get
culty.
Arcana and Religion as your proficiencies, a disguise kit for your tool proficiency. You know Abyssal, and then you get the Magic Initiate Arcane feat, which again, like the same, it's the same for a Magic Initiate Divine. You would have access to spells on the Arcane list.
For ultra religious cultists, I would allow the swap to Magic Initiate Divine.
Ooh.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
You scarcely recall what drove you into the service of the otherworldly being. Those memories were blotted out long ago by recurrent dreams of midnight gatherings round the obsidian pillar in the glade. By the light of each waning moon, the Hierophants instructed you in the being's creed and the rudiments of the arcane arts. When you came of age, you were ordered to blend in among the non-believers and await whatever mission the Great One has in store for you. So you get...
Non-believer.
Shun the non-believer. Shun! Charlie. You get a bell, a lamp, common clothes, robe, dagger, 9 gold pieces, and a disguise kit. I think that's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I'd be a cultist.
The disguise kit is
I'd be a cultist.
Yeah, sign me up for that. I want that Kool-Aid.
Give me
Where's Creep when you need her?
Drink the Kool-Aid.
I know she's lurking, but now I want Kool-Aid for some reason.
And again, like with this sort of with this background, very customizable. You could be like, you could join a cult of any like major like god or goddess even. Like you could be in a cult, or you could be like in like a homebrew cult that your DM's like crafted up. And that's what's really nice is it's fish cult. It's very it's sort of vague in that way. Because you're just like, oh, the Great One. Well, the Great One can refer to anyone. It's not like it's very specific, as sometimes the I've noticed like the 5e backgrounds can be very specific.
Nana Toppins.
That's a religion I can get behind.
Right? Baked goods.
Give me. Okay, now we have Entertainer.
Yes. Do you want me to do this one?
Go ahead.
Okay. Ability scores +2 to charisma, +1 to dexterity. Skill proficiencies are acrobatics and performance. Tool proficiency, musical instrument, one of your choice. There will be more on that when we review the rules later. Language Elvish, feat musician. You spent much of your youth following roving fairs and carnivals, performing odd jobs for musicians and acrobats in exchange for lessons. You may have learned how to walk a tightrope, or to double pick a lute, or how to recite elvish poetry with the impeccable trills of an elf poet. To this day, you thrive on applause and long for the stage. Did you want to do the musician feat?
Yes.
I saw you scrolled to it.
Yeah. So you are a practiced musician, granting you the following benefits. Instrument training. You gain tool proficiency with 3 musical instruments of your choice. Inspiring song. As you finish a short rest or long rest, you could play a song on a musical instrument with which you have tool proficiency and give inspiration to allies to hear the song. The number of allies you can affect in this way equals your proficiency bonus. That's
like
pretty
Bard
fucking
Light.
cool. Yeah, it's like, yeah, Bard Light. Exactly.
Which is really great. And the equipment you get as an entertainer, you get 2 costumes, not 1, 2. A musical instrument, same as above, so your choice. Perfume, steel mirror, traveler's clothes, and 8 gold pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Love that they put perfume in there. That's very funny to me.
Yeah, you guys smell good to make money.
The mirror, of course. Gotta make sure you look good for the stage. So,
Duh.
absolutely love that.
If not the stage, then at least yourself, because you know the entertainers are vain as fuck.
Oh, hell yeah. They're all Leos. Every last one of them.
All right, and then we have farmer. So you get +2 to constitution, +1 to wisdom. Makes sense.
Love that.
I would argue maybe a +1 to strength instead, but again, that's fine. Wisdom also is good because you need to have some sort of knowledge to be a farmer. So you get animal handling, proficiency, and nature, carpenter's tools, and then you could speak halfling. That makes sense. Yeah, I would agree with that. And then you get the feat tough, which I'm wondering how that compares to.
Scrolling to it.
Tavern Brawl. Your hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to twice your character level when you gain this feat. Whenever you gain a level thereafter, your hit point maximum increases by an additional 2 hit points. So that's the same as. Oh,
I scrolled too far.
Yeah, I keep doing that. That feat is the same as the feat in 5e. I could not even tell you. Probably 17. 17. I was close. Yeah. I was close.
So close.
So yeah, that feat, the tough feat, exact same as the tough feat in 5e.
Yep. So no changes there.
Yeah, no changes. Yeah, but that's also a really fucking cool feat to have just from a background. Like, I love that feat.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. So you grew up. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say nobody's tough like country folk.
That's true.
So it makes perfect sense.
They're built for tough.
Oh my god.
You grew up close to the land. Years tending to animals and cultivating the earth rewarded you with patience and a good health. You have a keen appreciation for nature's bounty alongside a healthy respect for nature's wrath. Like many farmers, you make frequent use of the agricultural almanacs produced by the greatest halfling farmers. That makes sense that you know halfling then.
Yeah.
So you get carpenter's tools, healer's kit, iron pot, shovel, sickle, traveler's clothes, and 23 gold pieces.
So you're automatically the party chef because you have an iron pot for some fucking reason.
Yeah, I mean that's your weapon. What are you talking about? I don't mind that. I like that background.
I would count an iron pot as like a mall of some kind, like a downgraded mall.
Yeah. Fucking glue some nails on it.
Oh my god, I love it.
Okay, and then we have Gladiator. Go ahead.
Gladiator. Okay. Ability scores are +2 to strength, +1 to charisma. Skill proficiencies include athletics and performance, which both, I think this is very similar to the existing gladiator background. Tool proficiency, smith's tools, language orc, which I thought was interesting, but it also makes sense. Feat is savage attacker. Savage attacker.
That is, that's an old feat. I wonder how it compares.
It is. Where is it? Here it is. Prerequisites none. Repeatable no. You have trained to deal particularly damaging strikes. When you take the attack action and hit a target with a weapon as part of that action, you can roll the weapon's damage twice and use either roll against the target. You can use this benefit only once per turn.
Okay, so it's a little bit different from the Savage Attacker for 5e. Because that one's once per turn. When you roll damage for a melee weapon attack, you can re-roll the weapon's damage dice and use either total.
Oh, okay.
So that's different.
So the description for Gladiator: your first few appearances in the gladiatorial pits led you to appreciate every one of the scars you carry from your instructors and sparring partners. Each scar was a lesson that taught you how to best your opponents and curry favor with the crowds your brawls entertained. Your time in the pits left you with a strong hand and a strong heart. You'll forever share a remarkable bond with other pit fighters in your stable. Humans, dragonborn, dwarves, and orcs, hardened warriors all. Equipment, chain. Interesting.
Okay.
Costume, healer's kit, javelin, smith's tools, traveler's clothes, and 15 gold. So Gladiator is obviously the BDSM background.
Yeah, that chain. I'm sussy. I'm sussy of the chain.
I think we both raised a brow when I read that. I was like, oh, okay.
All right.
Why is that there? It's not a chain shirt. It just says chain. So...
Just a chain. And then we have guard.
Yes.
+2 to strength, +1 to wisdom. I don't know that guards are smart. Well, let's not say that.
Yeah, not but wisdom for sure.
Yeah, all right. So athletics and perception makes sense. Obviously, you have to be agile as a guard, as well as be able to pay the fuck attention.
Yeah.
Gaming set, as one is paying attention, one definitely is probably playing some sort of game of chess or dice or cards.
That's very appropriate.
Geek Ledger, hello, welcome on in. We're just going over the One D&D announcement today. Language is Dwarvish, makes sense. And then again, the alert feat, which we have already established is a really fucking good feat.
Super good.
So your feet begin to ache when you remember the countless hours you spent at your post in the tower. You are trained to keep one eye outside the wall, watching for marauders sweeping from nearby forests, and your other eye inside the wall, searching for cut purses and troublemakers. At the end of each shift, you bunked in the mayor's barracks alongside your fellow sentries and the dwarven smiths who keep your armor snug, and your weapons sharp. So you get crossbow bolt, gaming set. Crossbow bow, hooded lantern, a light crossbow, manacles, quiver, spear, traveler's clothes, and 12 gold pieces. Obviously, those all make sense. That makes sense.
Again with the spicy gear, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, the manacles.
It's like Monster Hunters.
And we've already went over the alert feat before. It's fucking cool. I like this. I like the updated alert feat very much. So.
Very good, very good.
Next we have guide.
You want me to do guide?
Yeah, we'll just switch on and off for this.
We're just gonna alternate. Okay, yeah. Cool. Ability scores: +2 to wisdom, +1 to dex. Skill proficiencies: stealth and survival. Tool proficiency is cartographer's tools. Language giant, which makes sense when you think about it.
Yep.
The feat is a primal magic initiate. You came of age in the outdoors, far from settled lands, your home, anywhere you choose to unfurl your bedroll. There are wonders on the frontier, strange monsters, pristine forests and streams, overgrown ruins, and great halls once trod by giants. And you learned to fend for yourself as you explored them. From time to time, you traveled with a pair of friendly druids who were kind enough to instruct you in the fundamentals of channeling the magic of the wild. Equipment: bullseye lantern, common clothes, hand axe, light hammer, mason's tools, mess kit, 1 flask of oil, shovel, water skin, and 15 gold pieces.
Love it.
I love it. I love this. I don't think this was a thing before. I think this is new. At least I don't recall ever having seen guide as a background. So
No,
really
the
like
guides do. I feel like guide is sort of a offshoot of hermit, maybe, or like a far wanderer, maybe like a bit of both. I love it though. Geek Ledger, I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to buy all new rulebooks. Laugh, yeah. In all seriousness, this looks promising. I can't wait to see the other playtests. Yes, I am so excited to. I'm so excited to see what they come up with for like the class options and everything like that. I'm very excited for that. But you know, we're delving into the character origins right now, and I'm liking it so far. Are you liking it so far, Mandy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm very optimistic for when this new player's handbook comes out.
Yes, Storm D. Outlander. Outlander was another. I think that's kind of like what the guide is an offshoot of. And I like the Magic Initiate feats. I like those.
Yeah. They are busted good though, and I love it.
Oh,
and
here we have Hermit. They have Hermit. If I had only scrolled down a little bit more. So you get +2 to Wisdom, +1 to Constitution. Medicine, Religion for skill proficiencies. Herbalism kit is your tool proficiency. Language is Sylvan. That's very interesting because my Tiefling Druid is a Hermit. So yes.
I forgot to read the equipment. We got, wait, did I forget?
Did you read the wrong one?
Did I read the wrong one? I did read the wrong one. I read the one for Laborer. I was like, okay, those things do make sense for a guide. Okay, so the actual one for guide, equipment for guide is 20 arrows, bedroll, cartographer's tools, fishing tackle, quiver, short bow, tent, traveler's clothes, 2 gold pieces. That's a lot of shit, and also either one of them makes sense, honestly, as far as equipment for a guide. I was gonna say, like, it kind of they both make sense. So.
Definitely. No, definitely.
Yeah, I accidentally read the equipment for Laborer, so we'll get to that later.
So Hermit, again, Magic Initiative Primal, love it, so good. You spend your early years secluded in a hut or a monastery located well beyond the outskirts of the nearest settlement. In those days, your only companions were the creatures of the forest who would occasionally visit to bring news of the outside world and supplies. The quiet and solitude you found in your time outside of society allowed you to spend many hours pondering the mysteries of creation, attuning your mind to the magical energy flowing through the natural world. Very cool. Bedroll, book on philosophy. Oh, scholarly. Fishing tackle, herbalism kit, lamp, oil, quarterstaff, traveler's clothes, 15 gold pieces.
The only thing I don't... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the fishing tackle. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you have to feed yourself when you're a hermit. You don't go into town to get supplies necessarily.
True.
So you got to feed yourself, and you're not a hunter. So, but the only thing I take any kind of... I don't even want to say issue, just something that I would change. I would change out Sylvan for Druidic for the language for a hermit. Sylvan does make sense depending on the type of forest that this hermit lives in.
You know what I would do?
Type of environment that the hermit lives in, but I would swap it out
for guide. For guide, I would change out the language for Druidic because it specifically mentions you traveled with a pair of friendly druids.
Yeah, because like it talks about how you go into places once trod by giants, not that you traveled with giants. So I would see that as making sense for swapping that out as well.
I think maybe if maybe Sylvan might make sense if they mention something about maybe traveling to a different plane or something like that, such as the Feywild. But yeah, no. But again, these backgrounds are very customizable, and you could switch out the languages for whatever you see fit for your character and their situation, which is super nice. And then we have Laborer. Go ahead, Mandy. You can read off the correct equipment for this one.
Yeah, let me read the right shit for this. Ability scores: +2 Constitution, +1 to Strength. Skill proficiencies: Athletics and Survival. Tool proficiency: Mason's tools, which makes sense given what I read earlier. Language is Dwarvish. feat is tough. We already reviewed the tough feat. That's a good one. Your apprenticeship consumed the better part of your youth. First, you learned to cut and polish stone. After several years of polishing stones, you learned how to cement those stones into a wall. After several years of building walls, you learned how to join your walls to form a structure. The structures you built were exceptionally durable. The masons who taught you were taught by even older masons who were taught by dwarf artisans of old. The description for that is a little stumbly.
Yeah.
I will say, I hope they rework that paragraph a little bit. It's a little long out.
Yeah, it seems like it was just a lot of words for them to be like, yeah, you know how to build some walls or something.
Yeah, you spent all this time learning the different stages of building, and your father's grandfather's best friend is where the knowledge came from. Equipment, here's the equipment for laborer: bullseye lantern, common clothes, hand axe, light hammer, mason's tools, mess kit, 1 flask of oil, shovel, water skin, and 15 gold pieces.
Makes sense. These make
not for the guide.
These make sense now.
Yes, it does make sense now.
You can make a house. You can make a house.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they have to art it up a little bit, but just it's a little clumsy the way it's written here, and I'll be including that in my feedback on the first.
Yeah. You could tell like some of them, like some of the they're just a little bit more well thought out in terms of like the descriptions of the background.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not that like these aren't well thought out, but you know, you can just tell a little bit more effort was put into some. Okay.
Plus, we also have to consider pre-alpha content.
Exactly.
This isn't even alpha yet.
Yep. So then we have Noble next, which is +2 to charisma. Obviously, nobles like to fucking talk. +1 to intelligence. I've met a noble or two that does not have that. Then we have history, persuasion, a gaming set. Which, yeah, that makes sense. I don't think a noble really would have too much proficiency in like an herbalism kit or something of that sort.
Yeah, no.
Language Draconic. That's an interesting one.
I like it.
And then the skilled feat, which, let's see.
Gives you a whole lot of love.
Where is it?
Where is
skilled.
It?
So you have exceptionally broad learning. Choose 3 skills in which you lack proficiency. You gain proficiency in those skills. I believe that is... Yep, that is the same as the skilled feat for 5e.
Yep.
So not a change there. You were raised in a castle as a creature of wealth, power, and privilege. None of it earned. Stares at the camera at Hibram.
Yeah.
Your family are minor... Your family are minor aristocrats who saw to it that you received a first-class education, some of which you appreciated, and some of which you resented. Was it truly necessary to read all those ancient histories in their original Draconic? Draconic makes sense. Makes sense now. Your time in the castle, especially the many hours you spent observing your family at court, also taught you a great deal about leadership. Fine clothes, gaming set, perfume, signet ring, and 24 gold pieces. Makes sense.
Back to Hebron.
Makes sense.
Yep, it's Hebron.
Yeah, that's...
They wrote this for Hebron.
Yeah, they did. Hebron, do you know Draconic?
He does now.
No, I think that's a very... What I'm really liking about so far with these backgrounds is they're very vague and they leave a lot of room for interpretation and putting your own little minor details in them to make them more customized for your individual character. But yeah, I like it so far. I would do a noble background to get the skilled feat. Like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Now we have Pilgrim.
Pilgrim, +2 to wisdom, +1 to constitution. Skill proficiencies are religion and survival. Tool proficiency, musical instrument, one of your choice. Language, half language, weird choice. And feat is healer. I don't think we did the healer.
Nope.
So I'm scrolling down. I scrolled too far. Healer. Why do I not realize that they are alphabetical?
You have the training and intuition to administer first aid and other care effectively, granting you the following benefits. Battle Medic. If you have a healer's kit, you can expend 1 use of it and tend to a creature within 5 feet of you as an action. That creature can expend 1 of its hit dice, and you then roll that die. The creature regains a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your proficiency bonus. Healing rerolls. Whenever you roll a die to determine the number of hit points you restore with a spell or with this feat's battle medic benefit, you can reroll the die if it's a 1, and you must use the new roll. So how does that compare to healer?
Healer now is just you have a proficiency in healing. Kit.
Yes, you are an able physician, allowing you to mend wounds quickly and get your allies back in the fight. You gain the following benefits. When you use a healer's kit to stabilize a dying creature, that creature also regains 1 hit point. As an action, you can spend 1 use of the healer's kit to tend to a creature and restore 1d6 plus 4 hit points to it, plus additional hit points to equal the creature's maximum number of hit dice. The creature can't regain hit points from this feat again until it is finishes a long or short rest. So yeah, that's fairly different from the original healer. Yeah, but I like it.
I like it too.
I like it.
The description says you and a group of like-minded believers, Mormons, mostly humans and halflings, once endeavored to walk 1,000 miles of road to reach a faraway shrine. Priests counseled at the outset that long after your journey was complete, you'd come to realize that you found the key to your salvation not at your destination, but somewhere along the road that led there. Equipment is, and I'm reading the right one this time, bedroll, healer's kit, holy symbol, musical instrument of your choice, obviously, 2 days of rations, traveler's clothes, and 16 gold pieces.
What are you gonna do with 2 days of rations?
Yeah, why 2 days? Why only 2?
Give me 10, god damn it. Give me a
fuck?
week.
Like, 10 is the base for purchasing like, what? Anyway, whatever.
Thank you for the follow, Geek Ledger, I appreciate it. I feel like that's a little, I'm meh about that one.
Yeah, it's, all you need to do is add magic underwear to this, really.
Storm D said, I feel like languages in general are this weird vestigial organ hanging off of D&D's appendix that makes no sense for the game and doesn't add much fun, but everyone assumes they're too important to just get rid of. I actually, I would say I like having languages because it's nice to be able to be like, oh, I speak that language, I can help out. Or be like, oh, does anyone else speak that language? Where, like, if you find like a, writing or something somewhere. And then sometimes it's also really nice because it's just like, none of us speak this language. We have no idea what this says.
Right.
And trying to problem solve that.
Yeah. Find a mysterious tablet written in a language none of you understand. You have to take it to an expert to read it. Ooh. Now you have a side quest.
Side quest. Matt said it could be that because they have a survival skill, the pilgrim probably forages for food instead of relying on rations, using them as their last resort.
Yeah, that's fair.
I still want 10.
Yeah, why 2?
I still want 10.
Just at least make it a solid 3. If you have to pick a small number, why does it have to be 2? Make it 3.
I will say I have had games where like my DM has made me keep track of rations. And I did keep track of rations and insect repellent and all of that throughout Tomb of Annihilation.
Yes, you did. You were the only one. I'm pretty sure
Probably.
you're the only one.
Probably.
I eventually got sick of being like, you're running out of food, guys. Wink. Because then you got the mayonnaise jar. Then you're pretty much good at that point.
No, not the mayonnaise jar.
Not the mayonnaise. Not the alchemy jar. Jug, rather. Whatever.
Okay, now we have Sage.
Yes.
+2 to intelligence, +1 to wisdom. I feel like it's very... Yeah, it's kind of like an acolyte almost. Arcana and history. Makes sense, correct, yes. Calligrapher supplies, yep, that checks out. Elvish for the language, checks out. You get the magic initiate arcane feat. You spent your formative years traveling between manors and monasteries, performing various odd jobs and services in exchange for access to their libraries. You whiled away many a long evening with your nose buried in books and scrolls, learning the lore of the multiverse, even the rudiments of magic, and your mind only yearns for more. So you get a history book, calligrapher's supplies, parchment, 8 sheets of paper, quarterstaff, robe, and 8 gold pieces. Yeah, that's basic. I feel like it's very similar to, the Sage.
The existing Sage.
Yeah, the existing Sage background. Similar. Obviously minus the ASIs and stuff.
Storm D. Imagine playing TOA and not putting Purify Food and Drink or Good Berry on your spell list. You know what? The Adorkable Killers, I don't think we're that smart.
We didn't do that. I don't think any of us even had those spells.
I think Druge did.
Druge should not have prepared those.
He's a cleric. Absolutely not. He only cares about dead stuff.
Yeah, Geek Ledger, we
God.
mentioned that. We said the laborer background was a little weird, that like at least like the character description and stuff. It's a little clunky. I definitely, they mentioned the background that your character was trained by masons. Would that not make your character a mason and not a laborer?
Yeah.
True. Very true.
Yeah. Next up is Sailor.
Sailor. Hey, Sailor.
What do you do with a drunken sailor? Ability
Throw 'em
scores are
overboard.
+2 to dexterity, +1 to wisdom. Acrobatics and perception are your skill proficiencies. Tool proficiencies are navigator's tools. Language is primordial, which...
Ooh. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a little... Like, I would understand... Well, I guess primordial makes sense, like... water elemental creatures, maybe. Feat, Tavern Brawler, which love to see it. I see you already have it pulled up.
Yep.
Let me look at it. It says, accustomed to brawling, you gain the following benefits. Enhanced unarmed strike. When you hit with your unarmed strike and deal damage, you can deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d4 plus your strength modifier instead of the normal damage on an unarmed strike. Damage rerolls. Whenever you roll a damage die for your unarmed strike, you can re-roll the die. If it rolls a 1, you must you can re-roll the die if it rolls a 1. You must use the new roll. Blech. Shove. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of an attack action on your turn, you can deal damage to the target and also push it 5 feet away. You can use this benefit only once per turn. Furniture as weapons. You can wield furniture as a weapon.
Fuck yeah!
Using the rules of the Great Club for small or medium furniture and rules of the club for tiny furniture. Ren would love this.
Yeah, so this is actually quite different from the original Tavern Brawler. Because with the original Tavern Brawler, you obviously would gain a +1 to either your strength or Constitution. You are proficient in improvised weapons, so I believe furnitures as weapons. That's sort of in the same realm as improvised weapons. Your unarmed strike used D4 for damage, so you got a D4, but you didn't get your strength modifier to it. And then when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike or an improvised weapon on your turn, you could use a bonus action to attempt to grapple the target. I would like to see them have the grapple option in this feat.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason I had picked Tavern Brawler for I think Rosie.
Yes.
And the grapple option was the whole reason I had done that.
Yep. I would probably backwards compatible this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Personally, unless they did, you can choose to grapple or whatever. So, okay, so thus far you've spent most of your days living the life of a seafarer, wind at your back and decks swaying beneath your feet as you sailed towards your next adventure. You've perched on bar stools in more ports of call than you can remember, faced down mighty storms, and swapped stories with the folk who live beneath the waves. Okay, so that's where Primordial comes from.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
We're always like, why the fuck that language? And then we're like, oh, 3 lines down. Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Oh, there it is. Equipment, dagger, fishing tackle, navigator's tools, silk rope, traveler's clothes, and 10 gold pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one.
Yeah. I think
this one.
This is a sailor background that I would actually use.
Yeah.
Since that's been my my main example for a background where I look at it and I'm like, I wouldn't use this in like actual D&D. But no, I would use this in like in a game setting, in a campaign.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bobicus, I tend to put him in bed with the captain's daughter. I just go throw him overboard. Geek Ledger said, I've always been confused by the races you can use as a player. I understand not having every race in the entire game being in the player's handbook, but I wish there was a supplemental book with every other race and ways to use them as a player character. So Monsters of the Multiverse, which is what they just recently came out with. That basically gives you, I think it's like 30 plus playable character races. And Volo's Guide to Monster and Mordenkainen's Monster, I know Volo's is actually technically outdated now because of Monsters of the Multiverse.
Yep, it's Legacy now.
Yep. So Monsters of the Multiverse is your best bet to find some options other than like the normal like elf, halfling, gnome, dwarf.
Yep. I will say we should keep in mind, like, Volo's Guide isn't going away. It's still being published. You can still buy it. It's not being discontinued.
Yes,
or anything.
No, it's not. It's not being discontinued. It's just and a lot of the stat blocks, they're not drastically changed. For going from Volos to Monsters of the Multiverse, there's not a drastic change. There are subtle changes. Like I know there was like a change between like kobolds in between the two of them. But a lot of them are fairly similar. However, I do know with Monsters of the Multiverse, we were discussing this in terms of, in reference to just the orcs so far that we know, that is going to be the exact same stat block for this new iteration, so One D&D.
Correct.
So I imagine that they're going to be pulling from Monsters of the Multiverse for a lot of the other stat blocks as well for this new iteration.
Most definitely.
So next we have Soldier Boy. You have a +2 to Strength, +1 to Constitution. Athletics and Intimidation are your skill proficiencies. Tool proficiency is a gaming set of your choice. Language is Goblin. I like that.
I know you do.
And then you have Feat is Savage Attacker, which we had spoken about before. You began training for war at such an early age that you carry only a precious few memories of what life was like before you took up arms. Battle is in your blood. Sometimes you catch yourself reflexively performing the basic fighting exercises you learned as a youth. Eventually, you put that training to use on the battlefield, protecting the realm from waging war and studying the strategies of goblinoid generals. Fuck.
There you go.
Yeah, dude. Goblins, yes! Fucking love goblins, dude.
Yeah. Hobgoblins are very much a war-oriented culture. They love battle, so this tracks. Goblinoid generals,
yes.
Things like that.
Chef's kiss.
General DD.
General DD, yes, thank you. That's my formal title from now on.
Oh god.
So you get arrows, you get a gaming set, a healer's kit, quiver, short bow, spear, traveler's clothes, and 14 gold pieces. Basic. I'm here for it anyway. I like it.
It's very suitable to the background.
Geek Ledger, forgive me if I'm a little behind in information from the books. I've only had the player's handbook since 2019 and the DM's guide / monster manual since last year. I'm still pretty new. No worries, I'm fairly new too as well. So there's like nobody. I've literally only been playing D&D since 2020, so I get it. I understand about being new in this. It's a lot of information.
Storm D says, you can't still buy Volos in D&D Beyond. Oh, I didn't know that because I own it on D&D Beyond. But you can get it in bookstores. I'm not sure if they're still planning more or just selling out of existing inventory. They'll probably sell out of existing inventory.
Yeah, I've seen it in for sale. I've seen it for sale in like Barnes and Noble.
Oh yeah, I have too. So maybe they'll just sell out the inventory and not do a new print edition after that, which honestly doesn't surprise me because Monsters of the Multiverse is now considered to be the canon, correct way to run these lineages in the game. So it makes sense, but they're also not saying that the legacy ones are invalid either.
Yeah, I think you can use whatever one you want to use, like you and your DM want to use. Use them, man. No one's saying you can't, and if they say you can't, they're an idiot and they need to shut up.
Bob gatekeeping, exactly. At those people, not at chat.
Yes, yes.
So
Urchin
last one is Urchin, which is near and dear to my heart because he sure is an urchin originally. Ability scores +2 to dexterity, +1 to wisdom. Skill proficiencies, insight and stealth. Tool proficiency, thieves tools, very appropriate. Language, common sign language.
Very
really interesting to me.
Very interesting. I like that they've included this inclusivity.
Yeah. Yes, I really like that. I also like that they don't, break out of like character here and say ASL. They say common sign language.
CSL.
I love that. CSL. I think that's wonderful. As somebody who struggles with healing myself, sign language is very near and dear to my heart. So I love this. I think Thieves' Cant would also be an acceptable swap for
Yes.
Urchin for the language, because Thieves' Cant also includes hand signs. So it kind of goes both ways here.
Yeah, I think it's dependent upon, you know, what class you end up choosing for this character. I think if you choose like a rogue, obviously you would know Thieves' Cant, so common sign language would be an awesome secondary language to have.
Yeah, 100%. And then the feat here, ironically, is Lucky. We've already talked about what the Lucky feat, the new updated Lucky feat does, so definitely check out the PDF if you haven't seen it already. The description is, you grew up on the streets, surrounded by similarly ill-fated cast-offs. A few of them friends, and a few of them rivals. You slept where you could and did odd jobs for food. At times, when the hunger became unbearable, you resorted to theft. Still, you never lost your pride and never abandoned hope. Fate is not yet finished with you. Love that.
Yes.
And the equipment is bedroll, which is strange. Common clothes, 2 daggers, gaming set, also strange. Pouch, thieves' tools, and 18 gold pieces. That's a lot of gold for somebody who's from the streets to have.
So that is a lot of gold. The gaming set, I could say, is because a lot of the times urchins will kind of like hustle people.
Oh yeah.
So I could imagine a gaming set being used for that.
Yep.
Bedroll, again, a little weird, but
a little weird.
You know, I guess like if you're on the streets for however long, you're gonna manage to scrounge up some sort of bedroll.
Yeah. And this is just the base equipment, right? Like, you could describe it in any way you want. Maybe that gaming set is, you know, maybe the deck of cards, some of the cards are bent, some of the cards are stained. Maybe that bedroll isn't really like a bedroll that you would buy in a general store. It's, you know, a stuffed pillow that has like a blanket sewn onto it to make it a little bit longer. So really, you just have a pillow and a blanket.
Yeah, like
I
imagine
it could be any of those things.
I imagine the gaming set would be like a mishmash of just like objects you've managed to find, like little trinkets you've managed to find, and you're just like, yes, this is my chess piece.
Yeah, or secondhand dice you pickpocketed off of somebody else who was hustling on the street, a charlatan perhaps, for example. You know, things like that. Daggers, pouches, thieves' tools, all these are things, common clothes, all these things are things that could be easily stolen off a clothesline, off the street, in a tavern, out of people's pockets. So, I mean, when you think about it in that way, in a more, you know, creative, out-of-the-box way, it does make sense, these items. Like a bedroll, if somebody hangs a bedroll out to dry when they're in the middle of washing it, you could just swipe that. So.
Yeah, Stormd, obviously they picked equipment for flavor and then just let each background keep the change from the 50 gold pieces budget. They all started with, I don't hate the ad approach, even if you get weird things like Street Orphan starting with a big pocket of coins.
Yeah.
True. Just say you stole it. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you could flavor it in whatever way you want. Maybe you're a good little saver. Maybe you're a good little saver. You've just been stowing away all your gold.
Yeah, it's all the gold that you've stolen over the last 5 years. There you go. You got 18 gold now.
And then we get into starting languages, which we've been kind of discussing loosely within the backgrounds. So your character begins play knowing at least 3 languages. That's nice. Because I know some characters you can only get like 2 languages for some within 5e. So you know Common, a language provided by the character's background, and a language that you choose from the standard languages table below. Knowledge of a language means your character can communicate in that language and can read and write it. The standard languages table lists languages that are widespread in the D&D worlds in the material plane, and the rare languages table lists languages that are more rarely known on those worlds. In each table, typical users of the language are mentioned. So we have Common, obviously everyone, Common Sign Language, everyone, Dwarvish, dwarves, elvish, elves, giants. You get the point. And then you go into like the rare languages. I'm not seeing any new languages.
Nope. Other than Common Sign Language.
Yes, Common Sign Languages. That's the only new one. And again, inclusivity. Awesome to see. And then we go into the feats section, which is I think the one that we're probably the most excited about.
Oh, 100%.
So the description of a feat contains the following parts, which are presented after the feat's name. Level. Each feat has a level. To take a feat, your level must equal or exceed the feat's level. So if you wanted to do a 3rd level feat, but you're only level 1, you can't.
Which I like that. I like it.
Yeah. Prerequisite, you must meet any prerequisite specified in a feat to take that feat. If you lose a feat's prerequisite, you can't use the prerequisite. You can't use it until you gain the prerequisite again. Repeatable. If a feat is repeatable, you can take it more than once. Oh, if it isn't repeatable, you can take the feat only once.
Oh.
So that's interesting. I don't know that I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So the feat descriptions, we have alert, which we've gone through, but we'll go through it again because I know there's some people who just are joining us. So it's a 1st level feat, meaning if you're a 1st level character, you can take it. You're always on the lookout for danger. You gain the following benefits. Initiative proficiency. When you roll initiative, you can add your proficiency bonus to the roll. That's standard for the original alert feat, I believe. And then you have initiative swap, which is new. Yep. Immediately after you roll your initiative, you can swap your initiative with the initiative of one willing ally in the same combat. You can't make the swap if you or the ally is incapacitated. So yeah, I'm very much enjoying that initiative swap addition. That is quite significant, especially when you want to have like your fighter or your rogue go first and yep. They roll like a 1 or something, and you have your magic user roll a like fucking nat 20. So yeah, 100%. That's significant.
Absolutely.
If you want, do you want to read Crafter if you want?
Yeah, it is all the ones that we're gonna read are 1st level feats, so I'm gonna skip that. Prerequisite is none. Is it repeatable? No. You are adept at crafting things and bargaining with merchants, granting you the following benefits. Tool proficiency. You gain a tool proficiency of your choice with 3 different artisans' tools of your choice. Discount. Whenever you buy a non-magical item, you receive a 20% discount on it. Really making the DMs do the math here.
Yep.
Faster crafting. I will not be doing that. Faster crafting. When you craft an item using a tool with which you have tool proficiency, the required crafting time is reduced by 20%. This is awesome.
Yeah. That's
I love this.
It's a good feat, especially if you want to have like an artificer or something like that.
Yes.
That's an amazing feat. Yeah.
1000% perfect for Rancid.
And then we have the healer feat, which we have gone over before, but we'll read it again. You have the training and intuition to administer first aid and other care effectively, granting you the following benefits. Battle Medic. If you have a healer's kit, you can expend 1 use of it and tend to a creature within 5 feet of you as an action. That creature can expend 1 of its hit dice, and you then roll that die. The creature regains a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your proficiency bonus. And then healing rerolls. Whenever you roll a die to determine the number of hit points you restore with a spell or with the feat's Battle Medic benefit, you can reroll that die if it rolls a 1, and you must use the new reroll. Awesome feat. Awesome.
Love it.
It's good. It's a good feat, especially because the previous healer feat, when you healed someone with your healer's kit, they only regained 1 hit point. So now they have the chance to regain more than 1.
Yes. Absolutely. Next up is Lucky. No prerequisite and not repeatable. You have inexplicable luck that can kick in at just the right moment, granting you the following benefits. Luck points. You have a number of luck points equal to your proficiency bonus. You can spend the points on the benefits below, and you regain your expended luck points when you finish a long rest. Advantage. Immediately after you roll a d20 for a d20 test, you can spend 1 luck point to give yourself advantage on the roll. Disadvantage. When a creature rolls a d20 on an attack roll against you, you can spend 1 luck point to impose disadvantage on that roll. Love this.
Yeah, that's
I love this.
Because that's fairly different from the original lucky feat.
Yes. You still got luck points, but it was, I think, just advantage before.
Yeah, so your luck points, so this is nice because your luck points your luck points, they level with you essentially. So when you have 2 to your proficiency bonus, you have 2 luck dice, luck points. And then when you get 3, so as you level up and you get your proficiency bonus raises, your luck points will go up. Which is nice because it kind of sucks when you're like, it's like you're level 20 and you're like, I've got 3 luck points for this feat that I had for all 20 fucking levels.
Yes. So let's really quickly veer off here to talk about the rules. Because we've been saying a new term, D20 test.
Yes.
Yes. The term D20 test encompasses the 3 main D20 rolls of the game: ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws. So instead of typing all those things out, they just say D20 test. It encompasses everything. So anything in the game moving forward after this release comes out in 2024, D20 test encompass all 3 of these rolls. The DM determines whether a D20 test is warranted in any given circumstance. To be warranted, a D20 test must have a target of no less than 5 and no greater than 30. Also 30? What the fuck? And then it goes into rolling a 1, rolling a 20, critical hits, yada yada. But we already know how that works, so I just wanted to deviate out to that.
So no greater than 30.
Yeah.
That's
at higher
interesting.
levels. At higher levels, obviously, DCs for checks should be going up as the skills go up.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but can. Obviously, if you do a 30 DC for a group of level 3 characters, that's just why are you letting them roll?
Yeah,
It's
just don't let them roll
impossible.
at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So it's for higher level.
Yeah, it's like if you look at a player's bonus and it's like, well, they have a +2 to bonus, and even if they roll a 4 to get like guidance, they're still not going to make that even on a nat 20. So it's like if something's like impossible for them to even roll, it's like that's just you're kind of just being like, you're letting them roll with the hope that maybe they might actually get it when there is actually no hope.
Yeah.
Although I will say that like I've seen players roll above 30 on skill checks, so.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Also, C Storm D says it's a huge nerf to Lucky Feet. I don't agree. I actually think it's a balanced balanced change. Lucky was kind of already too good. You would get 3 luck points. You can choose after you roll the die, but before the outcome is determined. You can spend a luck point when an attack roll is made against you to choose whether the attack uses the attacker's roll or your roll. And if, which is silly, like just let the attacker roll twice at disadvantage.
Yeah.
Or roll at disadvantage. So this just alters that slightly. And if more than one creature spends a luck point to influence the outcome of a roll, so lucky versus lucky, the points cancel each other out and no additional dice are rolled. But they took that away for this, so it's kind of a boon and a rebalancing.
No, I don't think it. I mean, I wouldn't say that it weakens it. I think it balances it out. Like you know. Weakening it isn't necessarily, like, I wouldn't say balancing it is necessarily weakening it. It's just making it so it's more balanced within the entirety of the rule set.
It's still a feat well worth taking.
Yeah, no, I would take it.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting where they say in the rules section, the D20 test section, that if you roll a D20, if you roll a 20, it automatically succeeds. I think that's interesting to say that, because I know many DMs who, even if you roll a 20 on something, if you don't make the DC, that is still a fail.
It depends on the DM, because rolling a 20 doesn't automatically mean like ideal outcome, but to me it does guarantee success to some level. So like if you roll a nat 20 and your total's 21 but the DC was 25, because it's possible for players at that level to roll a 25, for example, you would still succeed, you would still get a good outcome, but it wouldn't necessarily be quite as far, quite as epic as it would have been if you hit the DC.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that's interesting, where it seems a little bit like they're contradicting themselves a little bit. But obviously they say rolling a 20 doesn't bypass limitations on the test, such as range and line of sight. The 20 bypasses only bonuses and penalties to the roll. But still,
it's kind of the same as how they ruled it before, but it's also still up to DM interpretation as well, so...
Yeah. Let's
you do
go
magic
back.
initiate. I'm gonna go walk Wyatt. I just heard. Oh! I'm sorry, buddy. Are you okay?
Oh, what did you do to him?
I don't know.
No.
You okay? He's good.
Aw.
I just scared him. He was sleeping. I gotta go walk him. I just realized the time, so I will be right back.
Yeah. No worries. Storm D, a sizable percent of players already thought it was a rule because a 20 automatically hits on an attack. Exactly. Yep. So I think there is a difference, obviously, between combat and skill checks. And I don't think that, it is kind of up to the DM to make sure that the players are aware of that, especially new players who are just getting into it, because it is sort of that, what's the word? Expectation for new players who are just getting into the hobby, that they think that, oh, I rolled a 20, I automatically succeeded. But that's not true for skill checks. Because a skill, if you're trying to do like a nearly impossible feat and the DC is like 32, and you get a nat 20, and let's say you have a plus 10 to like an athletics check or something like that, and you're rolling in athletics, and you have a 32 for the DC, and let's say you get guidance. If you roll a 31, you still fail. Even if you got that nat 20, you should still fail it. Or at least it should at least not be a straight up success. Like Sithy said, levels of success. Yeah, I think they need to expand on that a little bit more. I rolled a 20. I seduced the dragon. If your DM even lets you roll on a check to suplex the moon. I mean, I think my character could suplex the moon. I'm fairly certain she could. But no, I think they need to expand on this a little bit more. Because that is sort of, it gets a little convoluted, especially for like players who are just getting into it, or players who don't really read the rules and they're sort of just kind of like going on like what their DMs and fellow players say. Yeah, DMs shouldn't let you. Yeah, I said that. DMs shouldn't let you roll for things you can't succeed on. However, like in the terms of, okay, you have a plus 10 to your bonus. The DC's 32, and then you also have guidance. You could roll a 32 on that. It's dependent on how you roll. Apparently rogues don't get a double their sneak dice on crits anymore either. That's weird. Who rules it that way? You double all dice on a crit. And I mean, that's coded in like, we, for our Saturday night games, we use, Fantasy Grounds, the VTT, and that's coded in that when our rogue crits, she doubles all dice. For this one, weapons and unarmed strikes have a special feature for player characters, critical hits. If a player character rolls a 20 for an attack roll with a weapon or an unarmed strike, the attack is also a critical hit, which means it deals extra damage to the target. You roll the damage dice of a weapon or unarmed strike a second time and add the second roll as extra damage to the target. For example, a mace deals bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength modifier. If you score a critical hit with the mace, it instead deals 2d6 plus your strength modifier. If your weapon or unarmed strike has no damage dice, it deals no extra damage on a critical hit. Gotta lurk for now, but amazing talk. Thanks, Exy. Thanks for lurking. Thanks for hanging out. If your weapon has no damage dice, it deals no extra damage on a critical hit. I wouldn't read that as there's no sneak attack damage for this. Storm, remember that this is very bare bones. This is not getting into like class options and things like that. This is just very bare bones rules. I doubt that because rogues already, like, for the most part, like, a rogue, unless you're getting sneak attack, a rogue for the most part isn't dealing a ton of damage. So that's sneak attack damage, and then if you get a crit on that, that's very, like, that's integral to a rogue's abilities. So I don't think that, I wouldn't read it that way, especially not, yeah, for doubling smite or sneak attack damage, I wouldn't read into that now, especially because this is just bare bones. I'm sure they will expand on it later, and to make it clearer to people. But I wouldn't read it that way. I wouldn't rule it that way, and I don't really know any DM that would rule it that way. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and honestly, if that's something that you're worried about, you should provide them feedback when they open the feedback, because I think the feedback's going to be open in September. That's something that you could provide feedback on, and that you're worried that it would be used against, like, for smite or sneak attack damage. That is also almost word for word what the book already says about crits. Yeah, I think it says, Storm was saying that it says it omits the attack dice. Honestly, if you don't agree with the new rule, the DM is always allowed. Yes, exactly, Sithy. If there is anything within this new rule set that you or your DM, or if you're a DM that you don't agree with, that you don't want to rule, that you don't want to play in your games, you don't have to. And I think that's the really great thing about D&D and D&D 5e, and these expanded rule sets, is that if you don't like how something's played, you can homebrew that rule, and no one's going to stop you because it's your game. And if you roll a 20, if it doesn't hit, you can add a +1 to the attack roll. With or without modifiers, you can add +1 to the attack roll. Did I miss something? I've always said in my games that in combat, if you roll a 20 and it's a hit, with or without modifiers, you get a +1 to your damage dice. Then if you roll a 20 and it doesn't hit, with or without modifiers, you can add a... Yeah. I know people when they're doing... So we're talking about 5e right now. When they're doing crits, what they do is they say you automatically maximum damage your base die. So if you have a 1d6 for your, like what they said with the mace, so you automatically deal 6 damage plus your strength modifier, and then you can roll for the crit. So you would do, let's say you have 3 strength modifiers, so you automatically do 9 damage, and then you would roll a d6 for the extra crit damage. I know that's like a homebrew rule that people play with, though. That's not like an actual rules as written. That's how I roll crit damage. Sithy, maybe you said that to me at one point. Maybe I got it from you. But if that is the worry, yes, absolutely give them feedback. This is also in a for example portion, which is to our knowledge just isn't this particular document. Yeah, this is just dealing with character origin. So a lot of like these like rules and stuff down here are like very like TLDR, too long don't read. Like they're just the bare bones rules. And for the most part, I think a lot of the core rule set for 5e is not going to change going into this new iteration, whether it's 5.5, 6e, 1 D&D, whatever it is that they're going to end up calling it. Could just say screw it and play 1e. No. I get my 1e/2e fill over on Lord Gasimba's channel. Alright, but let's get into the Magic Initiate feat. So it's a level 1 feat, repeatable, yes, but you must choose a different spell list each time. So you can do the Magic Initiate feat for Arcane, Divine, as well as Primal, which is so good. You have learned the basics of a particular magical tradition. Choose one spell list, Arcane, Divine, or Primal. You gain the following benefits related to that choice. 2 cantrips. You can learn 2 cantrips of your choice from the spell list. First level spell. Choose one first level spell from the spell list. You always have that spell prepared. You can cast it once without a spell slot, and you regain the ability to cast it in the way when you finish a long rest. You can also cast a spell using any spell slots you have. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for these spells. Consult the player's handbook for the rules on spellcasting. Whenever you gain a new level, you can replace one of the spells you chose for this feat with a different spell on the same level from a chosen spell list. So this is very similar, if not the exact same, as the Magic Initiate feat in 5e. However, it is, instead of being broken down into the individual class, it is broken down into Arcane, Divine, and Primal. Macy, stop licking your toes, you weirdo. I cut teeth on in 1E. I'm so glad that when I play the 1E, 2E, that Jay just does the math for me, because my brain could not do it. I don't want to deal with it. Musician, a first level feat. No prerequisite, and it's not repeatable. You are a practiced musician, granting you the following benefits. Instrument training. You gain tool proficiency with 3 musical instruments of your choice. Inspiring. As you finish a short rest or a long rest, you can play a song on a musical instrument with which you have tool proficiency and give inspiration to allies who hear the song. The number of allies you can affect in this way equals your proficiency bonus. Like Mandy said, it's Bard Light. Is basically a bard. You get some bard. You get a little bit of bard flavoring. It also lets you choose your casting ability. Yes, that's why I think I said it. You can choose your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma as your spellcasting ability for these spells. I would just call it D&D OE Ongoing Edition, but obviously I'm not on the naming team because that is not the. It's not a bad name. D&D Infinite, which is arguably an even worse name. Savage Attacker. Prerequisite none, repeatable no. You have trained to deal particularly damaging strikes. When you take the attack action and hit a target with a weapon as part of that action, you can roll the weapon's damage dice twice and use either roll against the target. You can use this benefit only once per turn. This is again quite different from the original Savage Attacker. The original Savage Attacker is once per turn. When you roll damage for a melee weapon attack, you can re-roll the weapon's damage dice and use either total. So it kind of gives you, it's a little bit different. I think, right? You're trained to do it. Maybe it's not. No, it's actually not different. The wording is very different. They worded it up a little bit. D&D next again. D&D Unlimited. D&D Unlimited. That's one. Do. It's functionally the same. Either way, it's terrible. I don't think I would choose Savage Attacker.
I came back in time for
Do. I think Savage Attacker is probably it's a very useful spell for a martial class. Hi Duff, how are you, Duff? How's it going, Duff?
Hey, Duff.
These nuts. But yes, the Savage Attacker, where you're able to roll your weapon's damage dice twice and use either roll against the target. I think that's fairly useful. Especially being able to use it once per turn. It's not like there's a cap on it for per day. What's this new stuff? Yes, this is going to be D&D 5.5, D&D 6th edition, whatever the fuck they're gonna call it. D&D Wizards announced a new system that they're releasing. Yeah.
I love how he's playing dumb when he literally sent me this PDF earlier today.
Did he? When was this? Duff, eat shit.
He's trolling you.
I'm sick of you. Where's the ban button?
Hi.
Wyatt. Getting my new D&D edumacation, I'll tell you what.
You know what? I checked him all over, touched his paws, his ears, his jowls, everything. He's fine. He was just being dramatic.
Oh, he's a baby.
I don't think I actually hurt him. I think I just scared him awake.
He got startled.
He got startled because he was snoozing. And I moved my chair and it pushed his paw.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you disturb him?
You know, that's what he gets for sleeping all tangled up with the bottom of my chair, you know? I don't feel bad. I don't.
But yeah, I was saying, I think the Savage Attacker it's probably a very good feat to have if you are a barbarian or a fighter or maybe like a monk. Because you're able to re-roll. You're able to re-roll your damage on every single turn.
Yep.
Which could mean either doing minimum damage or doing maximum damage. So I think that's pretty useful. Like, it may not be like a super flashy sort of feat, but I think it could be useful in combat, especially if there's no cap on it. You can use it once per turn.
Yeah. Love that. Next one is skilled. I'll jump in so you can have a drink or something.
Thank you.
I'll read the next couple because skilled is super short. No prerequisite, it is repeatable, so you can choose the skilled feat multiple times, which would be insane, especially if you're a bard. You have exceptionally broad learning. Choose 3 skills in which you lack proficiency. So you cannot choose skills that you already have proficiency in. I think that's changed from the original skilled feat description. I would have to look it up. You gain proficiency in those skills. Before I move on to Tavern Brawler, let's...
So it says, the original skilled feat says you gain proficiency in any combination of 3 skills or tools of your choice. So
yeah, any. So this limits it. This actually is a nerf. Because this one specifies it cannot be something you already have proficiency in, which is strange because you can have expertise, double proficiency, things like that. So this is for you to spread out your different areas of skills rather than stacking and things like that. Bye, Matt!
Bye, Matt! See you tomorrow!
Yeah, buddy!
Yeah, boy!
It's really later today. Well... No, it is tomorrow for him, I guess. Or day after tomorrow.
I don't know how time zones work, don't ask me.
I don't know how to... Yeah, fucking, I don't know. Tavern Brawler. No prerequisite and not repeatable. Accustomed to brawling, you gain the following benefits. We read this earlier, but I'm going to read it again.
Yes.
Enhanced Unarmed Strike. When you hit with your Unarmed Strike and deal damage, you can deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d4 plus your Strength modifier instead of the normal damage of an Unarmed Strike. Damage rerolls. Whenever you roll a damage die for your unarmed strike, you can re-roll the die if it rolls a 1, and you must use the new roll, so you don't get to pixies on this. Shove. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of an attack action on your turn, you can deal damage to the target and also push it 5 feet away. You can use this benefit only once per turn. Furniture as weapons, my favorite. You can wield furniture as a weapon using the rules of the Great Club for small or medium furniture and the rules of the club for tiny furniture. How you would classify furniture size, I cannot say. Maybe a kitchen table chair versus an armchair. Those are 2 very different sizes, so maybe that would be a good comparison.
It's like a kitchen table.
A bar stool.
A bar stool.
A table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, this is very different. This is very different from the original Tavern Brawler feat. And what I would like to see is some sort of grappling mechanic built into this feat, as is in the original feat, because that is what drew me to the original feat, is the grappling mechanic.
Yep.
Tough.
Maybe it would be like pushing away or grappling, like
I would like shove or grapple, like, because if you're when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, I would like to either be able to shove them or grapple them.
I think for me as a DM, like if you came to me and said I want to replace shove with grapple, like pick one, I would allow you to pick one, but I wouldn't do either or on this feat.
Yeah,
that would be too OP.
Yeah, because essentially it's the exact shove is the exact same thing though. It's instead of grappling, you're able to shove, because it said when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike or an improvised weapon on your turn, you can use a bonus action to attempt to grapple the target in the original. So I would rather be able to grapple than shove.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm a brawler, You know?
I can see how shove can work, because I mean, how many bar fight scenes have you seen where people are pushing each other around? Like it's thematically appropriate, but in a high fantasy setting, especially like in what you were describing with like Rosie and stuff, I would rather grapple so that I can stab somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of pushing them away. I would want to get them closer, keep your enemies closer, as they say.
I would even argue I might want like damage rerolls to be gone. I don't care for a damage reroll. Give me the option to either shove or grapple.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair.
What about throwing someone across the bar? Just fucking yeet them.
Yeet.
Yeet.
Yeah, using a person instead of furniture. I could see Ren doing that.
And then we have the tough feat is the exact same feat as 5e. Your hit point maximum increases by amount equal to twice your character level when you gain this feat. Whenever you gain a level thereafter, your hit point maximum increases by an additional 2 hit points. Exactly the same. No difference.
No difference. None at all.
No difference.
And then we got rules.
Rules. So this glossary includes game terms that have new or revised meaning in these playtest rules, as well as terms such as creature type that aren't defined in the 2014 Player's Handbook. The terms are organized alphabetically. If a term doesn't appear here, use its definition in the 2014's Player Handbook. So arcane spells. An arcane spell draws on the ambient magic of the multiverse. Bards, sorcerer, warlocks, and wizards harness this magic, as do artificers. For a partial list of arcane spells, see the spell list section later in the document. So we've talked about this already, but I think it's good to have that distinction between arcane, divine, primal. I think that is just so succinct and easy to make those distinctions. Artisan's tools. Artisan's tools are a category of tool with which the character can gain tool proficiency. For a list of artisan's tools, see the 2014 Player's Handbook, but ignore the prices there. Those tools now cost 15 gold pieces a piece. How much were they before?
So I'll jump in here. So different artisan's tools can range anywhere from 1 gold to 50 gold. So
I guess it's kind of balancing out.
It is. And we'll talk about this when we get to musical instruments as well. They apply a similar effect. So all artisan's tools cost the same thing now, while that's in some ways not a deal, but in other ways a huge deal. Like alchemist supplies, for example, cost 50 gold.
Yes,
They're the most expensive artisan tool. Whereas the cheapest ones are weaver's tools, woodcarver's tools, and cook's utensils at 1 gold a piece. So it's a huge range of different prices for
all the woodworkers, you're getting ripped off.
Yes.
Anyone that wants to make potions, you're getting a deal.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's pretty much anything below 20 gold on the artisan's tools list in the original Player's Handbook, you're getting ripped off. Basically.
Well then.
It's just their way of balancing it. I think they're trying to balance it in this way, especially because of the aforementioned backgrounds where you get 50 gold worth of supplies. This takes this new value into consideration when compiling that starting equipment for that background. So that makes sense. I actually like it that way better.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it, and I don't really plan on playing an artisan anytime soon, so whatever.
Right. Plus, if you know all artisan's tools cost the same and all instruments cost the same, then you don't have to. That's one less thing you have to go back to the Player's Handbook or the DMG for to look up the price of a thing.
Yeah.
So
it simplifies it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
It's like one of those things where it's like it's just not only for ease of the player, but for ease of the DM.
Yeah.
Which the DM already has to fucking know so many things.
Yeah. For this section, do you want to do 2 and 2 since some of them are short?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Cool. So creature type. Every creature in D&D, including every player character, has a special tag in the rules that identifies the type of creature that they are. Most player characters are the humanoid type. Here's a list of game creature types in alphabetical order. So this is standard. There's nothing new here. So just picking out a few examples from the list without reading the whole thing. Dragon, construct, monstrosity, ooze, plant, undead. So these are different creature types. These are pretty well defined in the original player's handbook and the monster manuals if you need to see examples of each type of creature. So I won't dwell on that list too much. These types don't have rules themselves, but some rules in the game affect creatures of certain types in certain different ways. For example, the description of the Cure Wounds specifies that the spell does not benefit a construct.
So I wonder if within that we're going to see some sort of shifting amongst what certain creatures are considered.
Yep.
One example would be, I don't know, maybe owlbear.
Yeah, I knew you were going there with that. I was waiting for it. It's gonna give you your owlbear moment.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering because there are some of the there's some creatures where it's like teetered on the edge of, well, are they a construct? Are they a monstrosity? Like, what would you consider them? For example, an owlbear, and it's kind of dependent upon the lore that you use for an owlbear.
Yep.
But yeah,
for me, owlbears are beasts. They're natural to the Forgotten Realms at this point.
Yeah.
They're natural to Toril at this point. Even if they had a monstrous origin, they're practically domesticated in a lot of ways by a lot of people who play D&D. They really should just be beasts at this point. I've ranted about this before.
Yeah.
You and I have ranted about this before on stream, so I don't need to revisit all that again.
Yeah, but I'm just interested. Aside from owlbears, I'm wondering if there are going to be other creatures that are kind of taken off of certain lists and put on others. But yeah,
I'm curious about that. Anyway, D20 test. This is a longer one, so I will try to truncate it since we've already talked about it a little bit. D20 test encompasses the three main D20 rolls: ability checks, attack rolls, saving throws, same as before. If something in the game affects D20 test, it affects all three of those rolls. The DM determines whether a D20 test is warranted. To be warranted, the target DC must be no less than 5, no greater than 30. Rolling a 1. If you roll a 1 on a D20, the D20 test automatically fails regardless of modifiers to the roll. That's standard. Rolling a 20. If you roll a 20 on the D20 test automatically succeeds regardless of any modifiers to the roll. A player character also gains inspiration when rolling the 20 thanks to the remarkable success. I love this addition. Rolling a 20 does not bypass limitations on the test, such as the range and line of sight. The 20 bypasses only bonuses and penalties to the roll. So again, levels of success, which we mentioned earlier, so I won't delve too far into that. Critical hits. Why is this listed? I guess it's just all falls under the D20 test.
Yeah.
Critical hits. Weapon and unarmed strikes have a special feature for the player characters. Critical hits. If a player character rolls a 20 for an attack roll with a weapon or an unarmed strike, the attack is also a critical hit, which means it deals extra damage to the target. You roll the damage dice of the weapon or unarmed strike a second time and add the second roll as extra damage to the target. For example, a mace deals bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength modifier. If you score a critical hit with a mace, it instead deals 2d6 plus your strength modifier. So again, modifier only once, that's not changing. If your weapon or unarmed strike has no damage dice, it deals no extra damage on a critical hit. So if you smack somebody with a broom, you don't get extra damage, even if you roll a crit.
So I know
but I will make it extra funny for you.
They were saying in chat before, I think Storm made a point where he was saying, or they were saying, sorry, I don't want to assume, that they were saying that they think that this means that sneak attack doesn't apply, so your sneak attack wouldn't double. But I said I wouldn't rule it that way based on the wording. For the critical hit. Because as far as I know, because as far as I know, like you double your sneak attack, you would double your smite, like whatever dice you roll for your attack would get doubled. And I don't see them changing that, even if
Yeah.
the wording is a little off.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they yet again chickened out from making elves count as fae, tieflings count as fiend. Ardlings should clearly be celestial, but nope, they're humanoid. I think it's dependent upon like what Mandy was saying about owlbears, where they are native now to the material plane. If an elf grew up in the Feywild, I would consider them fae. However, if they have all of their ancestors for like 300 years back, 400 years back, like thousands of years back, have been on the material plane, they're humanoid.
I would agree with that.
You know, like if they're like straight from the Fae, like maybe an Eladrin, I would consider Fae.
Yeah.
However,
Ladrons I would consider fae.
a normal elf, they're in the material plane. Why would they be considered Fae? They
Also,
already
by
have the
the-
Fae ancestry. They have that. They have the ability.
Yep. Also, the thing that we need to take into consideration is most lineages that a player character can be are all, by dictionary definition, humanoid shaped. They're
Mhm.
vaguely shaped like humans. They're bipedal individuals.
Yeah. And a lot
none
of the times,
player
like
characters
in terms of like elves or tieflings or ardlings, ASMR, they may not be considered. Their creature type may not be considered celestial, fiend, fae, whatever it is, but they do have those abilities built into their characters based on that ancestry.
Yep.
So I don't think it's much. I don't think it's, unless there's a reason specifically for a specific character to be considered fae or a fiend or celestial, where they have lived in like the upper planes or the lower planes or the Feywild.
Yep.
Then I think they should just be considered humanoid just for ease.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, we have divine spells. A divine spell draws on the power of gods in the outer planes. Clerics and paladins harness this magic. For a partial list of divine spells, see the spell list lecture later in this document. Again, they've divided the spells. We've talked about this a million fucking times already.
Yep.
Gaming set. Gaming sets are a category of tool to which the character can gain tool proficiency. For a list of gaming sets, see the 2014 Player Handbook, but ignore the prices there. These sets now cost 1 gold piece apiece.
That sounds like a ripoff.
I think it's
Oh
dependent.
yeah, no, that's definitely a ripoff. Dice set, 1 silver piece. Dragon chest, 1 gold. Playing card, 5 silver pieces. 3 dragon anti-set, 1 gold piece. So they've raised the prices of half of them.
I think that's the same though for the artisan's tools.
Or drop the price. Yeah, raise the prices of half. Drop the prices of. Actually, none of them. They're just raise the prices.
Is this D&D capitalism?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Is this inflation?
This is inflation. I didn't sign up for this in my high fantasy setting TTRPG.
I know, right?
What the fuck?
Okay, do you want to do grappled?
Yeah, the grappled condition. While you are grappled, you experience the following effects. Your speed becomes 0 and can't change. Attacks are affected. You have disadvantage on attack rolls against any target other than the grappler. I think that's a change to that rule. Movable. The grappler can drag or carry you, but the grappler suffers the slowed condition while moving unless you are tiny or 2 or more sizes smaller than the grappler. Escape. While grappled, you can make a dexterity or strength saving throw against the grapple's escape DC at the end of each of your turns, ending the condition on yourself on a success. The condition also ends if the grappler is incapacitated or if something moves you outside of the grapple's range without using your speed.
So I think this
Such
is
as-
so there's like always like arguing at the table. Not necessarily the Friday table, but like any table I've been in, about the grappled condition.
It's a pain in the
Because
ass, honestly.
it's always been like people, I think it always gets confused with incapacitated, where I know a lot of times like I'll be like, oh, I'm grappled, I'm still gonna attack, and they're like, no, you're grappled, you can't attack. I'm like, but it's not incapacitated. I attack with like disadvantage depending on who I'm attacking, but I still can attack. It doesn't say anywhere in the grappled rules that you can't attack. And even in the original, so your speed obviously becomes 0. The condition ends if the grappler is incapacitated. The condition also ends if an effect removes the grappled creature from the reach of the grappler, or grappling effects such as when a creature is hurled away by the Thunder Wave spell. So they've definitely expanded on it because I think there is so much confusion in terms of adding attacks affected. So you have disadvantage on rolls against any target other than the grappler. And then movable, that's something that I don't think has been, at least there hasn't been a specific rule about having the grappler be able to carry or drag you, but obviously being slowed.
I like the idea of like, whenever I see stuff like this, I just think about Ren. I'm just like, I can just see her picking somebody else and eating them.
Pick them up and just put them down very violently.
Yes.
People confuse grapple, restrained, and incapacitated all the time. So I think it's important that there is a distinction. Because like you can argue it up and down with your DM, and if they're just like, no, you're incapacitated because you're grappled, I'm like, no, I'm grappled, not incapacitated.
Yep. It's so easy to get them confused too. Mm-hmm. They're like, when you think about it, they're pretty similar like terms.
Yeah.
Obviously not the same, but similar enough that it's really easy to get them confused in the moment, and unless you have everything memorized, which I don't. Do you?
No.
Yeah.
There's some shit that I've had to argue a bunch of times that I do have memorized, but not this.
The incapacitated condition, speaking of, while you are incapacitated, you experience the following effect. Inactive. You can't take actions or reactions. No concentration. Your concentration is broken. Speechless. You cannot speak. Surprise. If you are incapacitated when you roll initiative, you have disadvantage on the roll.
Again,
so
they've expanded.
Automatically.
Yeah, they've expanded on this significantly, because prior, I think incapacitated was only an incapacitated creature can't take actions or reactions. That's it. That was the entire ruling. And it's like, okay, can I speak? Can I do something? Like, am I still concentrating on spells? But now they've expanded, and it's nice to have these clarifications at the table.
100%.
Okay, inspiration. When you have inspiration, you can expend it to give yourself advantage on a d20 test. You must decide to do so before rolling the die. Gaining inspiration. The main way a character gains inspiration is by rolling a 20 for a d20 test. The DM can also award inspiration to a character who's done something that is particularly heroic or amusing, only one at a time. You can never have more than one instance of inspiration. If something gives you inspiration, you already have it, you can give the inspiration to a player character in your group who lacks it. Losing inspiration. If you still have inspiration when you start a long rest, you lose that inspiration. I think that this is very much a homebrew house rule kind of thing.
Yeah, I love it.
Because I know, like, for Saturday nights, we stack inspiration. And even for Friday nights, we stack inspiration as well. Like, I have, well, it's technically, we call them luck die, but
that's just me being spicy, though. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like, I have like 3 or 4 luck die at this point. So again, I think this is a thing that, here are the hard rules as written, but there's nothing wrong with you and your table deciding, hey, we want to be able to stack inspiration, or you can carry your inspiration over into the next session. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, here's long rest. A long rest is a period of extended downtime at least 8 hours long, during which a character sleeps for at least 6 hours and performs no more than 2 hours of light activity, such as reading, talking, eating, or standing watch. This is,
Standing watch counts as resting? That's pretty dope.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So, I think prior... Let me look at the long rest. So a long rest is a period of extended downtime at least 8 hours long, during with which I think it's... Yeah, so the in the original rules, it's a little bit more expanded. I imagine that they'll probably expand this a little bit more. Because they say if the rest is interrupted by a period of strenuous activity, at least 1 hour of walking, fighting, casting spells, or similar adventuring activity, the characters must begin the rest again to gain any benefit from it. At the end of a long rest, blah, 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 blah. You gain the hit points and everything. So yeah, it's missing that part where it has to be uninterrupted. So I'm wondering if that's either going to be omitted completely or added again at a later date. But yeah, I didn't know that you only need to sleep for 6 hours. Most of the DMs I've played with have been like, no, you need to sleep a full 8 hours a night.
Yeah. Ouch. Sorry, I'm in my kitchen moving things. Because I'm hungry.
Mood.
See.
Oh no, it says it interrupted by combat or 1 hour of walking. Yeah, so yeah, it's the exact same. It's the exact same rules as the 5e.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Alrighty.
It's kind of like auto getting inspiration on a 20. Yeah, I kind of like auto getting inspiration on a 20. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think a lot of the times, sometimes DMs will like. I don't think it's like very frequent where a DM will be like, oh, that player did a really cool thing, or that character, did a really awesome like heroic deed. I'm gonna give them inspiration. I don't think a lot of times DMs like realize that, hey, I could just give my players inspiration for just doing cool shit. And you can totally do that.
And I do all the time, but usually people pay for it, which is great. Sorry for the noises. It is Himbo's dinner time.
This is the baby.
Actually, it's a little late, so that's probably why he was grumbling at me while I was eating chicken. Like, hello, what about me, Mom?
Yes, and now humans get inspiration for free when they finish a long rest, which is cool because we were saying at the beginning, humans are kind of boring. So having that extra spice and that little extra incentive for a player to want to choose a human lineage background is nice.
Just a little spice.
Yeah, just a little bit.
All right, what's next? Musical instrument. Musical instruments are you finished, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Musical instruments are a category of tool with the character, which a character can gain tool proficiency. For a list of musical instruments, see the 2014 Player's Handbook, but ignore the prices there. Those instruments now cost 20 gold pieces apiece, which for quite a few instruments is honestly, it's an extreme ripoff.
Yeah.
There's quite a few instruments that are less than 20 gold, but there's also quite a few that are way more than 20 gold. They range up to, I think, 60 gold.
Mm-hmm. And again, you like
right.
For ease of like the DM and stuff, like you can totally just use like these base prices, like 20 gold each, 1 gold each for the gaming set, 15 for the artisan's tools, or you can use the original prices listed in the player's handbook.
Yep. I think the most expensive. Actually, you know what? The most expensive, I think, instrument that I can think of is the lute, and that's 35 gold. And I don't think there's too many that are less than 30, or rather that are more than 30 gold. Yeah, bagpipes, flute, lyre, those are all 30 plus. Everything else is well below that and even below 20. Mm-hmm. So it's not a great deal, but again, balance.
Ignore Joel laughing in the background.
Whatever.
No, but I agree. I think it's balanced. I think it's balanced, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, if you want to have custom prices on things in your game, more power to you. I just don't have the time for that shit. I'd rather use whatever the rules say.
Storm said, I'm eating ice cream for supper right now because I'm an adult. Fuck yeah, what flavor?
Hell yeah. Yeah, what flavor?
Sithy said, you could always steal an instrument, then it's free.
Yeah, absolutely. You can always steal anything, and then it's free. It's just, monetarily free might not be free in other ways.
Monetarily free does not mean free from consequences.
No. Consequences are always there, one way or another.
Your actions have consequences.
Your actions have consequences. That's me in every single one of our games.
I stole this house.
Consequences. A curse upon this house. A curse upon your cow. Anyway, moving on. Primal spells. Primal spells. A primal spell draws on the forces of nature and the inner plane. Druids and rangers harness its magic. Oh, I called it. I even named it off the top of my head. For a partial list of primal spells, see the spells list section later in this document. It's long. I'm not going to read that out.
Yep.
That's a lot of
While
freaking spell.
slowed condition, while you are slowed, you experience the following effects: limited movement. You must spend 1 extra foot of movement for every foot you move using your speed. So essentially, your movement is halved.
Okay.
Attacks affected. Attack rolls against you have advantage. Dexterity saves affected. You have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. How does that hold up to the original slowed? Where is it?
I'm pulling it up.
I'm pulling it up.
Pulling it up.
I don't have it. Where the fuck is it?
It's somewhere in the player's handbook, but I'm stupid.
Hello. Where is it?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm gonna check under combat. Nope. What fucking chapter is
It's
this
vanilla,
in?
but I dumped on a huge handful of my. Oh, that sounds good.
Where is it? Okay, I'm just gonna look it up. What?
Eh?
Hold on.
Eh?
Conditions. Oh, it's in the appendixes. That's why.
Because I'm like wondering, like, is it like
I don't see slowed in here.
I see.
I thought
I wonder if it's is it new? I wonder because it's like the effects of the slow
Unrestrained.
spell. Because the effects of the slow spell is your speed is halved. You take a -2 penalty to AC and dexterity saving throws, and you can't use reactions.
So they just made it. That actually makes sense. So they just made it as something that can also be a non-magical effect, but same effect as the spell, which tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do think that
I believe it's not already in.
I think that they should like not to fucking go against the other players, but I think they should add you can't take reactions to this.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like why if you're slowed, you're not going to be able to take a reaction.
Yeah.
What
That's
causes the slowed
interesting.
condition? The slow spell.
The slowed spell. Carrying someone, like in
Mhm.
the Tavern Brawler feat described earlier,
Yeah.
picking somebody up.
If you're
Can slow-
carrying
will slow you
someone,
down.
you're not going to be able to
Yep.
take a reaction.
Yep.
Tool proficiency. If you have proficiency with a tool, you can add your proficiency bonus to any ability check you make that uses that tool. If you have a proficiency in the skill that also used with that check, you have advantage on that check too. This functionality means you can benefit from both skill proficiency and tool proficiency on the same ability checked. So, if you have proficiency in the skill that's also used with that check, you have advantage on the check too. This functionality means if you're proficient with thieves' tools and you're proficient with sleight of hand, you would get advantage? Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah, proficiency with a tool. You can add your proficiency bonus to proficiency. Advantage on the check too. Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, so if you have
proficiency in the skills check.
so if you are proficient in thieves' tools and proficient with sleight of hand, you would have advantage on any checks you make with your thieves' tools using sleight of hand. That's interesting. I kind of like that because it kind of like it's sort of like why if I have proficiency with thieves' tools, why would I have and I had to choose between like sleight of hand and like insight or something like that for a proficiency. But I already have proficiency with thieves' tools. Why would I pick sleight of hand?
Yeah.
So this kind of gives you that extra incentive to do sleight of hand. So expertise in thieves' tools would give you advantage. So basically a +9 at first level, since advantage equates to +5 plus dex.
Interesting.
I don't hate that. I think they need to expand on it a bit more, but
Yeah, I think they need to clarify on that a little bit because I could see it being interpreted the wrong way.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
they need to definitely make things a little bit clearer, because it's
Yeah, 'cause
right
it's
now
like-
it's a little clunky. It's a little not quite easy to read through. Like what do you mean? It could go either way, really.
Mhm.
Tremor sense is next, and it's all you.
Tremor sense. A creature with tremor sense can pinpoint the location of creatures and moving objects within a specific range, provided that the creature with tremor sense and anything it's detecting are both in contact with the same surface, such as the ground, a wall, or ceiling, or the same liquid. Tremor sense can't detect creatures or objects in the air, and tremor sense doesn't count as a form of sight. That's some Daredevil shit, and I love it. I actually had a player character in a party I DM'd for once who basically had a blind monk character in the style of Daredevil, and instead of seeing, he had advanced tremor sense.
I think that this is what that's going for, in the same way that
Yeah.
common sign language is, kind of appealing to inclusivity for deaf people. Tremor sense is definitely for inclusivity for those who are blind.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm here for it. I like it. I think it's a great addition.
Yeah. Unarmed strike. An unarmed strike is a melee attack that involves you using your body to damage, grapple, or shove a target within your reach. Your bonus to hit with an unarmed strike equals your strength modifier plus your proficiency bonus. On a hit, your unarmed strike causes one of the following effects of your choice. Damage. The target takes bludgeoning damage equal to 1 plus your strength modifier. Grapple. The target is grappled, and the grapple's escape DC is equal to 8 plus your strength modifier plus your proficiency bonus. This grapple is possible only if the target is no more than one size larger than you, and if you have a hand free to grab the target. Shove. You either push the target 5 feet away or knock the target prone. This shove is possible only if the target is no more than one size larger than you.
So that begs the question, with the Tavern Brawler feat, you should be able to, it shouldn't even have, shove shouldn't even be, a feature in that feat, because it should already be assumed that you should be able to do that based on your unarmed strike.
You can, but I think the Tavern Brawler makes you proficient in an arm strike and also changes the amount of damage that you can do.
Well, I'm saying, shoved, because the shove is a feature in the Tavern Brawler, but it's also something that you could do just with unarmed strike as per the rules here. So it shouldn't even be listed as a thing, as an option, because you should be able to do it anyway. Like shove and grappling or damage. That should be your 3 options when you're using your enhanced unarmed strike.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from with
You know?
I think so. A lot of D&D books do stuff exactly like this. What you're describing now is it's already in somewhere else in a different feature. But usually when game designers create stuff like this, they will put that same verbiage into a feat that is applicable to that kind of skill, so that it's more easily referenceable. So instead of having to look up the unarmed strike rules and things like that, it's already described in Tavern Brawler for the most part, so that you can just have that as a quick reference rather than having to search for the rule every time. So that's usually why they do stuff like that. I agree with you. My logic doesn't really see it that way, but that's how I've heard it explained watching interviews and stuff with WotC staff.
Storm says, shove as an unarmed strike is the whole strike. Shove with the Tavern Brawler is in addition to your unarmed strike. Well, what I'm saying is that, because I was saying, why isn't grapple an option in the Tavern Brawler? So now, going back to this unarmed strike rule set where it says you can grapple or shove as well, or damage, essentially. You have the 3 options. Why would grapple not be included in the Tavern Brawler as well as shove?
Yeah. That's fair.
Since it's Tavern Brawler is centered around the unarmed strike rule set, essentially. So I feel like grapple should be included in an option. You can either shove or grapple in addition to the unarmed strike.
Trying to see if they're different at all. Nope.
Yeah.
They're the same.
Yeah, so that would be a feedback from me in terms of that, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now that you put it that way, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. So we'll do. We're not going to go through all of the spell lists, but
no,
no,
it's all the same stuff. It's
as
just
you can see,
examples.
yeah, as you can see, we have the arcane spells, the divine spells, and then the primal spells at the bottom. They're very much similar to what you would find either on the wizard / sorcerer / warlock spell list versus the cleric / paladin spell list / the ranger / and druid spell list. So. They've just broken them down into 3 subsets instead of having them broken down per class.
Yep. Which, I mean, it's achieving the same thing, it's just simplifying it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I feel like some of the changes that they've made here are to save them word count in making their books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
To, like it simplifies it in logic as well, so it completely makes sense. But also, like, less word count means money saved when publishing a book. So.
Yeah. Storm said they probably think a free grapple with unarmed strike damage would be too good because they hate the idea of a martial characters being awesome. Totally.
Yeah, I'm sure monks can do similar things, although I haven't played a monk in quite some time and not at high levels. So
I haven't played a monk. Wrong. I haven't played a monk
since
in like an actual campaign.
Yeah.
But that is the end of the first little basically Unearth Arcana that they've released for what will be 5.5, 6e, whatever they're going to call it. Yeah. I'm very interested in where they're going with it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm liking the changes that they're making. There are some obviously changes that I would like to see in terms of the verbiage used for character races. I would like to see lineages or ancestry, something like that.
Yep. Me too.
Maybe some expanding on a few rules. Some, obviously we said the laborer background was a little clunky. I would like to see something, the description to be a little bit better, but that's more of us being nitpicky than anything else.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the laborer background in terms of like the actual functionality of it. But yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what they release next.
I hope they talk about classes next, because I'm sure they'll be making improvements to classes and different functionalities, and I'm really excited to see.
I imagine that'll be next. I think they're the step-by-step guide in creating a character essentially.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. Mandy, thank you for coming and hanging out and talking with me.
Of course.
This was a lot of fun being able to just fucking geek out about D&D.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Any final words to chat?
Just wait and see. Remember that this is all pre-alpha. And if you see anything that's disheartening to you, don't lose hope. Download the playtest and sign up so that you can offer your feedback.
Yep.
WotC isn't going to know how we feel by reading Twitter or Twitch chat. They are going to read the feedback that's given during the playtest. So if there's something you really think needs to change, or something that you really don't like, or something that you really like but want clarity on, or something like that, if we don't give wizards that feedback, then
we're not going to see the changes.
Exactly. So we could talk about it all day, but make sure you fill out those questionnaires.
Yeah. And thank you, Mandy, for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's been fun, and I'll probably talk to you in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. I'll let you wrap up your stream.
All right, bye. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining. This was different than what I normally do. I normally, if you guys have never seen me before, I normally play games or do art. I do a lot of like D&D character art, usually on Tuesdays, or I usually play Dragon Age on Wednesdays, and then Thursdays is normally my kind of like indie game day. I've been playing Bear and Breakfast recently, but with the release of this information, I wanted to talk about it a little bit because I love D&D. Storm, thank you for the follow, and thank you for joining in on the conversation. I really I valued your input, and I liked hearing what everyone in the chat had to say, because it's nice to hear from different people about their perspectives and their opinions on where you want to see D&D go in the future. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I will be back next Tuesday. I think I will be doing some more art, but before next Tuesday, you can catch me over on the Mandy's channel, who I was chatting with this entire time. We play some D&D 5e over on her channel on Friday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time. We are doing a little homebrew Forgotten Realms, a game currently by Dungeons and Dinglings. We're, I think, 12 or 13 sessions in at this point, and things are getting a little spicy. So you can catch us over there tomorrow night. Saturday night, we are off from Rise Up Against the Slave Lords. However, we will be over on Praetor's Rejects channel doing some wine and witchcraft, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be myself as well as a couple of other ladies from the Praetor's Rejects channel with Mama Praetor, aka Lord Praetor, aka Duff's wife. She's going to be teaching us some little spells, and we're going to be drinking, so it's going to be a lot of shenanigans. And then I think on Monday we are off from Strixhaven. I got a lot of D&D all the time, but we are off from Strixhaven, I think, Monday night, because Seth is finishing up the final filming for his Magic the Gathering documentary, which, if you're not familiar with, please go check out. Igniting the Spark is the name of his documentary. You can Google it. He has a Kickstarter. They have a Kickstarter going on currently with all sorts of really fucking cool prizes and rewards. It's really freaking awesome, and they are nearly halfway to their goal, which is fucking wild. So please go check out the Kickstarter for them if you're into Magic the Gathering. They have some really cool rewards, including like playing Magic with like some really fucking big names in the industry. But yeah, other than that, that's it from me, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the conversation. I'm gonna go raid over into my friend Mech45. I don't know what he's playing, but he's playing something which is abnormal for him. Huh?
Mount Blade 2.
He's playing Mount and Blade 2. We're gonna go raid over into him. Thank you, guys. I'll catch y'all later.